folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now.
Welcome to American Sunrise Early Edition. Coming up, the Pentagon now sending about 2,500 U.S. Marines and amphibious warship towards the Strait of Hormuz. A new phase is underway. What it means and what is signaling coming up. The Save America Act coming to the floor, finally. A forced vote putting every senator on record. Republicans moving the bill forward as pressure builds in Washington. The next test for a measure at the center of the debate. And then a new development in the attack on the Michigan synagogue. Israel now saying the suspect's brother was Hezbollah commander, the new terror link, and the fear of that follows. All that and more as we start a Monday edition of American Sunrise. It starts right now.
Welcome to American Sunrise Early Edition. The show where faith, freedom, and the values that built this nation take center stage.
You people and others like you built this country.
Join us as we break down the stories that matter.
FAFO.
If you don't know, now you know.
American Sunrise Early Edition on Real America's Voice starts now.
All right. Happy Monday morning. Here's how you can start your day with us. Take a look at the bottom of your screen right now. That is a QR code. That is your ticket to joining the Weather Nation family. You can scan it and get connected. And even better, your hometown forecast could be next. So head over to Real America's Voice chats on Getter, Rumble, and YouTube. And during the 9 a.m. hour of American Sunrise, if you're selected, I'm crossing my fingers that you're the one. We'll deliver your hometown forecast live, so be a part of the fun and join us on Weather Nation. And joining us now is Weather Nation's own Tracy Anthony. Good morning, Tracy. Now, I guess depending on where you're at right now, you're either in the bathtub trying to hide out from a tornado watch, or maybe you're getting your gloves and your boots and your shovel, and you're trying to shovel out of inches of snow.
Yeah, and you may be doing both all in one day today, because we've got the storms rolling on through, and then some areas that have the storm impact are also going to be dealing with the snow. But want to show you some images out of Wisconsin, because we had Wausau, Wisconsin picking up over 20 inches of snow. This is Northfield. Look at that gridlock. So Brian, this is one of those heavy spring wet snows that just stacks up. We're up to 2 feet in some spots.
Yeah, I can imagine living up there in the north, and our viewers that do live up north, God bless you. You've been dealing with this all winter long and now into the spring.
Yeah, 14 inches there in Minnesota. That's right around the Minneapolis metro area. So happy shoveling. Hopefully you still have the snow blowers out and ready. I think in Minnesota, we're used to, at least one big snowstorm come late March, early April, but just pretty impressive.
It is. It is. And of course, a lot of people are dealing with thunderstorms.
Yeah,
A lot of,
Yeah, down in areas like the Mid-Atlantic. It's going to be very active throughout the day today. So want to show you what's going on across the country, kind of break down some of those weather headlines. Out west, it's relatively calm and quiet. We do have a few atmospheric rivers that will be setting up this week, though. So this is the big system we're watching. We were talking about the blizzard conditions across the Great Lakes, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa. We do still have some blizzard warnings still in effect. But as Brian was mentioning, the severe storms, this is going to be across the Mid-Atlantic. We're upgraded to a moderate risk. So that is going to be where we do have some potential for large, long-duration tornadoes, and we could also have the threat for damaging winds and a significant threat for those winds. So winds surpassing 75 miles per hour with these thunderstorms, and it is going to be aggressive. Then the backside, we still have blizzard warnings that are in place through the day today. So this means visibility will be under 1/4 mile for over 3 hours on end, and this stretches from the UP of Michigan all the way down into areas of northern Illinois. So some areas that were hit pretty hard last week with severe weather and tornadoes, now they're going to be picking up the snow and the brutal wind chills. So this storm system is kind of the big activity over the next 24 hours. We do still have some fire danger across parts of the central and south, but across the southwest, we're talking record heat this week. So 91 degrees in Phoenix. LA actually could set record high temperatures for the next 5 to 7 days. So could even be flirting with daytime highs getting into the triple digits. So, hey, you know, we've been talking the last couple of weeks or since March started, we've kind of gone full swing into this spring-like pattern, and it's really holding strong with, you know, blizzard conditions in the Great Lakes, record heat in the Southwest. We have a little bit of everything all over the country.
Yeah, so if you want cold, go up north. If you want rain showers, go down south. If you want the heat, go out west.
Right, yeah. And if you want a little bit of both, you know, the Southeast, the Tennessee Valley, the Ohio Valley, that's where you're going to get both.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so stick around. We'll see you back in American Sunrise. You'll have one of our lucky hometown forecasts. Maybe it's in one of these watch zones. Who knows? But tune in the 9 o'clock hour. Tracy, thank you so much. All right, let's turn to our top story now. The Pentagon is now sending about 2,500 U.S. Marines and an amphibious warship towards the Strait of Hormuz. The Rapid Response Force is expected to help protect shipping and counter the Iranian attacks on the critical oil waterway. Now, the move is signaling a new phase, a phase our next guest warned us about. Let's bring in geopolitical analyst Brandon Weichert, senior editor of 1945.com. Brandon, I want you to break this down for us, because if our viewers follow you rather on social media, you've been talking about this for weeks. Some of these things you've been talking about for months. What is the very latest in this whole focus on the Strait of Hormuz?
Well, the Iranians have successfully shut down the Strait of Hormuz. 20% of the world's energy, a lot of our agricultural products flow back and forth through that waterway daily. And if we don't punch it open, the basically world economy could potentially collapse. The Iranians are saying they're prepared for a minimum of blockading the strait for 3 months at a minimum. So this is a catastrophe in the making for the United States and the global economy. They can't push open the Strait of Hormuz with just naval power alone. In fact, the U.S. Navy is saying they're not going anywhere near that thing right now because of the missiles and the hypersonic weapons and the drones that the Iranians have basically layered throughout that part of the world, meaning that our ships are not safe. So now they're talking about sending Marines to take key strategic points on the Iranian side of the strait. And of course, you know, that's basically an escalation.
Yeah. I read a report that they were allowing Indian vessels to go through, but only if they would pay in Chinese currency, I guess the yen. Have you heard reports like that as well?
Yeah, I've heard stuff like that. I'm sure there are certain secret deals being hatched. I think it's interesting that basically Macron, president of France, made a big show. He was sending his only aircraft carrier down there, and everybody thought, okay, they're going to start escorting these ships through. And then yesterday, Macron and Keir Starmer, head of UK, and the Australian leader and the Japanese leader all said, yeah, we're not now going to be escorting ships. There's a lot of rumors that the French are cutting a secret deal with Iran. So basically, the Iranians are trying, they're doing a brilliant job of doing this. They're basically trying to divide America from its alliance structure. And right now, it's working because the rest of the world needs their stuff flowing through the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah, I was just watching a Starmer press conference on the BBC right before the show started, trying to get the latest from their point of view. But it looks like in the very beginning, President Trump's told the world, we don't need you. Basically, we're doing this alone, Israel and U.S. But now he is reaching out and saying, okay, who's with me with NATO? Who are my NATO allies? Things have shifted, and you can get online, you can look at the different narratives of this war. And I know a lot of our viewers watch us right now. Probably they want to throw things at the TV screen, going, "This guy is anti-U.S. He's anti-Trump. I'm anti-war. Okay, I'm anti-war, especially on behalf of Israel. And I think we have been drugged into a war that is not going to be over in a week. It wasn't over in 2 weeks. I'm not sure it's going to be over in 3 months. Or 6 months from now. Brandon, where does this go, and where is our exit point? When do we determine that the threat from Iran is no longer exists? They don't have nuclear weapons, and we can back out of this thing before it gets way worse.
Well, the problem is that the president has not been clear on what the strategic objectives are. He's at one point said he wants regime change, that he wants denuclearization. He wants to get rid of the ballistic missiles. He wants to get rid of the Navy and the Air Force of Iran. We've gotten rid of the Navy and the Air Force of Iran, but the others are much more difficult to achieve, especially in a short time frame with the kind of forces we've arrayed. So now the president is in a position where he either keeps escalating to try to find the advantageous position, or he has to negotiate and get egg on his face. I do not believe the president is interested in negotiation. Furthermore, I don't believe the Iranians are interested in negotiation, because everything they've done indicates they have a very good strategy that's very easy to understand, to survive. All they have to do is survive long enough for U.S. stockpiles to deplete, long enough for American allies to turn on them, and long enough for the American leadership to lose interest in the war and quit. And so the Iranians are winning right now, and they will continue to win, and the Americans are either going to have to bail out and look bad or negotiate. Now, there is a hope here. Putin of Russia has offered an off-ramp. The problem is Putin is demanding basically a laundry list of gifts from the Americans in terms of giving over Odessa in Ukraine and other parts of Ukraine and getting rid of the sanctions, and Trump's balking at that. But if he did that, yes, he'd have to eat crow. But ultimately, I do believe Putin could help Trump in ending Iran as well as getting over Ukraine. So Trump could actually turn this into a win in the long run, but he's so far not willing to do that. So he's going up the escalation ladder, and Brian, this thing is going to become a world war very fast.
Yeah, and we're all rooting for President Trump in the United States, and all of us. We want the best for this country. Real quickly, let's shift our attention. We've got about a minute left to China. Taiwan. It's been reported that Taiwan's basically surrounded by Chinese naval ships. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. Basically, China now knows we've been cannibalizing our limited stockpiles of missile interceptors and other precision-guided munitions in the Indo-PACOM area to send to protect Israel. So now China senses an opportunity to put the squeeze on the Americans, knowing we can't reliably defend any of these positions anymore. And meanwhile, also, you've got North Korea now popping off their new Russian-inspired cruise missiles over the south, because we pulled out those THAAD interceptors last week to send to Israel in the Middle East. So the idea right now is the American military juggernaut is on its last legs, and the Chinese and the North Koreans and the Iranians and even the Russians are going to they're going to stretch it one more time, hopefully till they break us in their minds. And we might very well collapse as a military global power because we're just too stretched.
Yeah. Brandon Weichert, as always, we appreciate you, your insight. And how can people follow you online?
You can follow me at WeTheBrandon on Twitter. You can find me at 1945.com, and you can find me as the NatSec guy on emerald.tv.
All right, Brandon. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. See you soon.
All right, ahead. America is leading the energy revolution. So why are Americans still feeling it at the pump? That's the question as this morning as we await the opening bell. We got more of American Sunrise Early Edition continuing after break. Stick around.
Get ready, America. March 25th through 28th. CPAC USA 2026 takes over the Lone Star State. And Real America's Voice brings you wall-to-wall coverage. Live shows from the convention floor, exclusive interviews, powerful panels, live music, entertainment, and more. All from the RAV stage. Hear from RAV's own Steve Bannon.
The only way we don't have victory if we surrender. And we're not going to retreat. We're not going to surrender. We're not going to quit.
Eric Bowling.
Real leadership listens without lecturing. It respects people enough to talk to them, not down to them.
And Jack Posobiec live.
Freedom is a responsibility that we must uphold every single day of our lives.
Plus Dr. G and others.
We always came together because we know what we're fighting for.
CPAC USA 2026, only on Real America's Voice, presented by Birch Gold Group and Patriot Mobile. Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access. Plus, commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play. At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now.
All right, good morning. Welcome back. Live shot at the Monument. It's going to be a kind of a windy day there. Welcome back, American Sunrise Early Edition. I am Brian Glenn. Great to have you with us this morning. Join the conversation over at Getter, YouTube, and Rumble. Now, let's check in with Wall Street as we head towards the opening bell. The markets continue to face pressure. Now, the Dow closing just lower on Friday, down 119 points to 46,558. The NASDAQ falling more sharply, off 206 points to 22,105, as investors are anxious about the opening bell this morning. Turn our attention to the energy markets. Oil moving higher, as you can imagine. Brent crude closing at just 103 a barrel. U.S. crude near $99. The average price of gasoline now up to $3.63. Depending on where you're at, you might be paying a little bit more. From the pump to the big picture, the U.S., now the world's leading oil producer, in Washington has long talked about energy independence. So when crises hit like this overseas, like the Strait of Hormuz, why do prices here at home still move? What most Americans don't realize about the global oil market. talk about that now is Dr. Steve Bonta. He's the publisher of A New American. Dr. Bonta, welcome to the show. We had several viewers reach out to me and say, Brian, we've been talking about drill, baby, drill, and we have been drilling, and even President Biden drilled quite a lot as far as pulling oil out of the ground. If we have this much oil and we're energy independent, why are the prices here for gasoline going up when we shouldn't necessarily rely on Middle Eastern oil?
Well, a couple of things to consider. First of all, no one knows the exact figures, particularly now. As of the beginning of last year, we still imported more than 30% of our oil. And of that, roughly half comes from our fine neighbor to the north, Canada. So we do, in a sense, still depend on exports. I think that's trending down, certainly under the Trump policy. So but it's certainly not true that we're, absolutely a law unto ourselves as far as oil is concerned. But it is also substantially true that almost all of the foreign oil that we have in the United States is coming from the Western Hemisphere, from Canada, now from Venezuela, Mexico, places like that, rather than from the Middle East. The Middle Eastern oil that's shipped through the Gulf of Hormuz and the East-West oil pipeline across Saudi Arabia is headed for Europe and the Far East, primarily. But the other thing is, of course, oil is a unitary world market, and world markets in crucial commodities are subject to price shocks in times of war. Those don't necessarily reflect long-term trends. They were expected before this thing kicked off, and it's nobody's surprise. Now, Iran has been boasting that they're going to keep this up until the price of oil gets to $200 a gallon. It's hard to see that happening, frankly, especially with the U.S.'s bid to take control of Karg Island and this kind of thing. And I do think, Pacey, what was said by your previous guest, I think that the strength of Iran is greatly exaggerated. I do remember similar, prophecies of woe back before the first Persian Gulf War, more than 30 years ago. Look how big Iraq is and their army and all their powerful allies, and this is going to lead to World War III. And it could, but so far it doesn't seem to be trending in that direction. Well, obviously we'll see what happens, but I do think it's going to last at least a few more weeks, and I think the oil markets are responding a bit as much to the fickleness of President Trump's character and policymaking as to the realities on the ground, or in this case, in the Gulf itself.
So I saw some talk online about perhaps President Trump should bring in some of these oil executives and into some type of oversight hearing to talk about perhaps price gouging initially. Your thoughts on that, if that's even something that should be looked at?
I haven't really thought about it that much. I don't know if the oil executives at this point are going to have much of a say in the matter. The Strait of Hormuz, I think a lot of the overheated rhetoric that you're seeing in the media right now, the dire warnings about, the shutting of the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz is semi-shut, but there's still, traffic going through. And I personally don't think it would take very much to get it back open. People forget that this kind of thing happened before. Iran tried to shut down the Strait of Hormuz way back in the 1980s. During the Reagan presidency, and there ensued what we now call the tanker war, which is a fairly unpleasant event. A couple of tankers were struck by mines, and Iran was attacking foreign tankers, like they're doing now, attacking their oil-rich neighbors. In that case, pretty much without provocation. In this case, one could at least say, well, we started the war against them, and they're retaliating more or less in kind. But in the 80s, they kind of went after Kuwait, in particular, Kuwaiti oil. And we responded by sending the Navy in there and blowing up some Iranian assets and ultimately Iranian passenger jet by accident. Courtesy of the USS Vincennes, the accidental shoot down of an Iranian passenger jet, and various other things. Oil prices suffered shocks at that time too, and there was a lot of hand-wringing and concern, but ultimately it worked out. This time around, obviously, the stakes are much higher. So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Bonta, we appreciate your time this morning. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I think about this. In 2006, $20,000 equaled roughly 23 ounces of gold at spot prices. Now, today's prices, those 33 ounces of gold will be worth about $165,000. Now, smart Americans diversify their portion of savings into precious metals. And that's why you need to consider buying from gold from our friends over the Birch Gold Group. Now, for thousands of years, gold has been a store of wealth. And today it's a crucial part of any balanced strategy. Even better, Birch Gold Group can help you convert an existing IRA or a 401k into a tax-sheltered retirement account in gold. Just text America to the number 989898 to receive your free information kit. There's no obligation, just useful information with A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers. Let the Birch Gold Group help you diversify with gold. Now, that's a peace of mind there. Text America to 989898. You can spell America. There it is, 989898. Do it today. All right, we'll be right back in about 2 minutes. Stick around as early edition Sunrise starts in a couple minutes. We'll see you.
Running on empty, brain fog, can't focus, and those sugar-loaded energy drinks? Sure, they spike you fast, then crash you hard. Fix it with Soldier Fuel, the official energy drink of real America's voice. Soldier Fuel was born in the military to solve a real problem. Troops were relying on sugary drinks that wreck performance, so they built a better option. Zero sugar and steady energy, powered by caffeine, taurine, inositol, and extra B vitamins for clean energy and focus. No roller coaster crash. This isn't gas station hype. Soldier Fuel was built alongside the U.S. military and proven where it counts. Used by American soldiers and elite special operations.
This is really good.
And when you fuel up, you give back. 15% of profits go to pro-military charities. Scan the QR code, search for Soldier Fuel on Amazon, or go to buysoldierfuel.com and get an automatic 15% off your entire order. Through every storm, every moment of uncertainty,
everybody needs to pray for Charlie Kirk right now.
Rav has stood strong.
We're not going to tolerate this stuff anymore.
Turn that anger into motivation to save this nation.
When we move together, there is power.
The cries of this widow will echo like a battle cry.
This is more than news. It's a movement.
This revolution of people taking their countries back.
A turning point. A chance to be part of something greater than yourself. Scan the QR code and stand with Rav. The story isn't over, and neither is your part in it. Step in, be counted, be heard. Together, we are Rav.
We will achieve American greatness. And we are just getting.
All right, welcome back. American Sunrise. I am Brian Glenn, a live look at Washington. All right. Glad you're with us on this very busy news morning. As always, we're following the developments across the country and around the world. You can join us on Getter, YouTube, and Rumble. You can follow me at Brian Glenn TV as well. All right, in just a few minutes, the Senate takes up the SAVE Act. Now, this is a key test vote, and it's a fight over the filibuster. Let's bring in our Neil McCade, our national political reporter for Real America's Voice. Neil, are we finally there? Are we going to put some names on record for either voting for this thing or voting against the SAVE Act?
It's on now. Last week, John Thune, the majority leader, the Republican from South Dakota, he said, hey, I'm done arguing with the president. I'm done arguing with these crazy conservatives. I'm just going to put this thing up. It'll lose, and then I can go on with my life. And that's his calculus. He takes the Senate floor today at 3 p.m., presumably to talk about the SAVE Act and how he's all for it and he loves the president. And then the debate will start Tuesday. And then Wednesday, it should be up for a vote on whether to close debate. If you close debate, you can then go on to a vote. Otherwise, the debate theoretically continues forever. Now, some people want to bring back the speaking filibuster, forcing the Democrats to actually go on the floor, like Mr. Smith goes to Washington with Jimmy Stewart, and basically they have to talk and talk and talk. But most of the senators are 100 years old, and they're not really interested in doing that, Brian, so we'll see what happens.
You might have a few pass out during this. They might need some oxygen to be brought into the Senate floor.
It's very difficult because you're not allowed to eat on the Senate floor. The only thing you're allowed to drink on the Senate floor is water and milk. But there are still tobacco spittoons, so you're allowed to chew tobacco on the Senate floor.
Sign me up.
Exactly.
Okay, but I think what the American people want, and I think that President Trump wants it, we just want to vote. We want to know who's against it, who's for it, and let this debate go for a couple of days. I'm good with that. But once they close it, you're telling me that once they close the debate, it can officially go to the floor for a vote, right?
Correct. And you could pass it with 51. You need 60 to end debate, but you could lose. There are 53 Republicans. So you lose 3 of them, and you bring in J.D. Vance. That brings you 51. So who are the Republicans, right, who would be against this? Well, Susan Collins is in Maine. She is the only Republican up for re-election this year in a state that Trump lost. So she's maybe on the bubble. And then you have sort of Tom Tillis from North Carolina, who's become sort of a rebel. He's announced his retirement, but he's done nothing but cause trouble for the president, advancing the agenda. Tom Tillis is actually a deputy whip. He's a member of Thune's leadership team.
Right.
So is Todd Young from Indiana. And these are guys who have done nothing but block the president's agenda. So it's interesting the kind of guys Thune has on his team to advance Trump's agenda.
Yeah. Okay, let's shift over, if we could, to the House real quickly, to the congressional side of the House. I saw a report this morning that the $50 billion supplemental that they need for this war could be a lot more. And I don't think any of us want to not fund our military and make sure we have the very best of the best. I think we can all agree with that. But look what's happening right now, Neil. DHS, you got 50,000 plus TSA workers that are going, they've missed their first full paycheck. We're going on the second full month paycheck they won't get. What can we do to get these guys paid? Can Congress do anything to temporarily fund the Coast Guard? A lot of brave men and women are stationed outside in some of these combat areas. What can we do to make sure these people get paid?
Well, there's got to be pressure on House Democrats to get that done. The Republicans have said, hey, let's fund it. The Democrats are blocking Homeland Security because they want to stop ICE from doing business as it does. It wants to take off the masks. And the other thing is they don't want administrative warrants. They want a judicial warrant. Nobody's ever used a judicial warrant for deportation. It's always an administrative. The administrative judges are actually working at the departments, like the Interior or Homeland Security or Commerce. They all have sort of judges. They're not like real judges, but they call themselves judges, and they do a lot of administrative stuff. To force ICE to go to a federal judge, an Article 3 judge, for every single deportation is basically a way to jam up the whole system. Now, you're talking about the supplemental. Obviously, there's defense contractors who are lining up who want to, take care of business. But we've used a lot of munitions. Those munitions have to be replaced. And there's also a lot of munitions and equipment that was transferred from Army pre-positioned stock. You have Army pre-positioned stock, 9 or 10 locations around the world where you basically can send 3 brigades worth of soldiers, and they just fall in their equipment, and then they jump in the trucks and they go. Well, that pre-positioned stock has all been sent, well, a lot of it has been sent to the Ukraine. And so there's a lot that has to be done. And so here we are. We fight a war, and we have a 4-week plan, and we're, 3 weeks into it?
Yeah. Real quickly, before I let you go, Neil, I think we both got the same email. The pink tie, are we rocking shades of pink there?
Listen, I'm comfortable with the pink tie. you know.
So am I. Okay.
Whatever.
Okay. Neil McCabe, best looking man on Capitol Hill. Neil, thank you so much. I'll see you soon.
Yes, you will.
All right. And the new release from the Real America's Music, God, Grit, and Guns, the country rock track focused on faith, family, and standing your ground, is out. Make sure you download it, send it to the #1 on the charts. Take a listen.
America, it's time to make some noise. Scan the QR code right now and download the new song, God, Grit, and Guns by the Truth Bombers. Or search for it on iTunes and download it today. In a world filled with chaos and uncertainty, this song is a reminder of something stronger, America's grit, faith, and fortitude. From the label that brought you The Boss, Anthem of the Free, and Somali Waltz, comes the next anthem, God, Grit, and Guns by the Truth Bombers. Scan the QR code and download it now.
It's God, Grit, and Guns. God, Grit, and Guns. God, Grit, and Guns.
To our enemies, FAFO.
God, Grit, and Guns.
Running on empty, brain fog, can't focus, and those sugar-loaded energy drinks? Sure, they spike you fast, then crash you hard. Fix it with Soldier Fuel, the official energy drink of Real America's Voice. Soldier Fuel was born in the military to solve a real problem. Troops were relying on sugary drinks that wreck performance, so they built a better option. Zero sugar and steady energy, powered by caffeine, taurine, inositol, and extra B vitamins for clean energy and focus. No roller coaster crash. This isn't gas station hype. Soldier Fuel was built alongside the U.S. military and proven where it counts. Used by American soldiers and elite special operations.
This is really good.
And when you fuel up, you give back. 15% of profits go to pro-military charities. Scan the QR code, search for Soldier Fuel on Amazon, or go to buysoldierfuel.com and get an automatic 15% off your entire order.
Through every storm, every moment of uncertainty,
everybody needs to pray for Charlie Kirk right now.
Rav has stood strong.
We're not going to tolerate this stuff anymore.
Turn that anger into motivation to save this nation.
When we move together, there is power.
The cries of this widow will echo like a battle cry.
This is more than news. It's a movement.
This revolution of people taking their countries back.
A turning point. A chance to be part of something greater than yourself. Scan the QR code and stand with Rav. The story isn't over, and neither is your part in it. Step in, be counted, be heard. Together, we are Rav.
We will achieve American greatness. And we are just getting.
Welcome to American Sunrise Early Edition. The show where faith, freedom, and the values that built this nation take center stage.
All right, welcome back to America's Sunrise Early Edition. I am Brian Glenn. Thanks so much for joining us on this country and around the world. And you can join us on Getter, YouTube, and Rumble. Let's head over to the Denver newsroom for the latest headlines with the one and only Terrance Bates. Good morning, Terrance. On this Monday, there's never a shortage of things to talk about.
Oh, absolutely. President Trump was on his way back to the White House yesterday and had a lot to say aboard Air Force One. We're finding out this morning that he could push back his scheduled trip to China later this month if the Chinese don't help reopen the Strait of Hormuz in order to get more Middle Eastern oil flowing to the global markets. That's the reporting coming out this morning. Right now, the war in Iran is limiting the amount of oil that comes through that strait, which in turn has caused the price of oil to spike. The commander in commander-in-chief argues because of China's reliance on oil from the Middle East, the communist country should help get oil tanker traffic in the Strait moving again in the face of Iran's threats. 47, by the way, also calling on a handful of other countries to send warships to the region to help secure maritime shipping lanes. He's reportedly negotiating with about 7 countries that heavily rely on Middle East crude oil in order to join a coalition that would police the waterway. And in other headlines, the CEOs of the nation's top airlines calling on Congress to end the current shutdown of the Department of Homeland Security so that federal aviation workers, including Transportation Safety Administration employees, can have their pay restored in order to avoid continued problems at airports across the country. Check out this video right here. Long lines like what you're looking at here becoming all too common for people looking to fly for spring break or just in general at this point. In an open letter to Congress, executives from American, Delta, Southwest, and JetBlue, among others, wrote, quote, "Once again, air travel is the political football amid another government shutdown. The airlines are now calling on lawmakers to pass the Aviation Funding Solvency Act and the Aviation Funding Stability Act. Both of those measures would guarantee that air traffic controllers are paid regardless of the government's funding status." And Brian, the Keep America Flying Act would also implement similar measures for TSA agents. U.S. airlines projecting 171 million passengers this spring season. The increased travel volume comes as DHS says that more than 300 TSA agents have quit since the start of this latest shutdown. And Brian, I know you've flown quite a bit over the past several weeks. You've talked about it on the air, you know, how every time you go through TSA, you thank the workers. But it's starting to take a toll, not just on them, but also on our air travel across the country.
You know, I started thinking as you were reading that story, all the problems that we're dealing with right now in the news is because the lack of efficiency of our government. Our Congress is worthless. Honestly, our government right now is worthless. We can't fund these men and women that work hard every single day to make sure that we're safe, that we fly efficiently. It needs to happen, Terrance. This is absolutely ridiculous that we could go fund some of the most obscure things, but we can't fund our own DHS.
No, absolutely. You know, it is a safety issue. I think one could argue it's a national security issue, particularly with air traffic controllers not being paid. And if there are outages, they, of course, patrol our skyways and byways to make sure that flights are coming in safe. So it needs to be addressed, and holding out, particularly Democrats holding out over ICE funding or over a dispute over how ICE itself should operate. That's silly. That's prepubescent. It's not even pubescent. It's prepubescent. Prepubescent. You know what I'm trying to say. But it's
That's our government, though. Yeah, but that's our government. Yeah. So if people are mad, get mad. Be offended. Get angry. That's what it's going to take. Nothing ever changes, Terrance. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on the bigger show here in about 30 minutes.
Appreciate it, and hopefully by then I'll be able to get my words out and say things like prepubescent.
There you go. I can't say it. That's why I'm not even going to try. Thank you.
Have a good one, B.
All right. Meanwhile, a little bit of drama inside the Pentagon press room. Legacy media reporters are upset over the new seating and loudly complaining about being pushed to the back of the room. Our next guest has watched it play out firsthand. Joining us now is Reagan Reese, White House correspondent for the Daily Caller. Now, this is a big deal. Now, you and I have worked together in the briefing room. I stand on the sides. I don't have a seat in the briefing room, which I don't mind. I think it's an honor just to be in there. But boy, some of these reporters at the Pentagon are pretty upset that outlets like ours and yourselves are up front and they're in the back.
Yeah, well, first I'll start by saying I've been a part of the White House press corps for 3 years now. They're supposed to be the worst of the worst. In a lot of ways, they are. I've written about it before, and the things I've seen behind the scenes, it does not compare to what has gone on at the Pentagon the last few weeks. It is probably a way more hostile and petty situation. At first, I kind of thought it was maybe just going to happen over the first briefing. There were some comments made from the reporters in the back complaining about not being in the back row. And then it's just continued on, briefing over briefing. And I started to hear from my colleagues around me because I was like, am I the only one feeling this way? And then I started to talk to my colleagues, and everyone has been so uncomfortable. And, this isn't our doing. This is the Pentagon's doing, the way that they've shaken up this briefing room. We're trying to take advantage of the opportunity. And it's felt personal in the briefing room. And so, it's been an interesting situation, but you have to continue to prove yourself as a journalist while you sit in that Pentagon briefing room.
Well, you certainly have done that at the White House and the briefing room. I noticed our own David Zier was up front and center of the last press conference. I saw him. Now, it's also good that historically conservative outlets, independent outlets haven't had the access, or at least even access at all, more or less up front. So this is a shift in the mindset that kind of mirrors what the White House has done with the new media seat. So I think it's a great thing that they're allowing new media up front. Now, if the legacy media, but let me ask this: the legacy media that's in the back, they're still getting called on, right?
Yes.
For questions?
At the last briefing, the Wall Street Journal was called on. I know the briefing before that, the New York Times and Fox News were called on, and Fox News even got moved up from the back of the room to the front of the room. But they have been called on through the briefings. I know that the Pentagon has put out a list of who they've approved for the briefings, that they've been trying to rotate things around because there was a reporter from The Atlantic who was complaining about not being allowed in. And they explained, there were 70 outlets that RSVP'd for the Pentagon briefing. Only 60 are allowed in. And we used one of those spots to allow the Daily Mail, who hasn't been in yet, to be in. And the Daily Mail, they asked a really hard question of the secretary. So those outlets that aren't typically in there, or those mainstream media outlets, everyone's getting called on. It's good handful. And I would say at the last briefing, the mainstream media was called on so much that one of my colleagues heard a mainstream media reporter celebrate that regular media was called on more than the new media in the last briefing.
Oh, man. Okay, let's shift our attention real quickly to the briefing room, the White House. This has been a very interesting year, a lot of stuff in the news cycle. What are some of the things that you're focusing right now in your writing and your reporting? Obviously, we have the conflict in the Middle East, but what are the other things that you're working on right now?
I know, Brian, it's so hard to think of anything else besides the conflict in the Middle East. But one thing we're really trying to do at the Daily Caller is that's important, and that impacts people back home. And we want to talk about that. But there are also things that impact your audience, that impact our audience, that they care about more than the conflict going back home. So the 2026 midterms, of course, that's something that we're going to be following. I actually had to table some reporting on the big, beautiful bill because of the conflict in Iran. So I'm hopefully going to be picking that reporting back up now that things have started to hit maybe more of a steady flow. And then, of course, the SAVE Act. That is like the big ticket item. And I have to say, Brian, I'm going to toot my horn here. In that one press briefing where Caroline Leavitt, she got all these questions about Iran. I was the only one to ask about a domestic issue. I asked about the SAVE Act. And now the SAVE Act is back in the news cycle. So I'm taking credit for that.
Take credit for it. The one and only Reagan Reese. How can people follow you on social media and all of your reporting?
Twitter, X, Instagram, Reagan Reese _ And then we're also on Substack. That's where I posted my behind the scenes piece of the Pentagon. I'm posting weekly pieces of behind the scenes inside my reporting. So you can really understand what it's like to be in my shoes and be a White House correspondent.
Yeah, I don't want to walk in your shoes. And I know sure as hell you don't want to walk in mine, Reagan. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us.
Of course. See you later.
All right. It's a busy morning here. You're going to need a cup of something. Why not Artillery Tea Company? It's the only America First veteran-owned tea brand. Their mission is simple: maximize flavor with whole leaf, chemical-free tea bags. No junk, just real tea. And here's a tactile advantage: each bag brews twice. Just go to artillerytco.com and use the promo code RAV for 10% off your first order. That's artillerytco.com. Premium tea, mission-driven, brewed for the brave. Coming up, we'll check in with David Brody right here on America Sunrise. Get you ahead of what's breaking on the big show. We'll be back after this.
America, it's time to make some noise. Scan the QR code right now and download the new song, God, Grit, and Guns by the Truth Bombers. Or search for it on iTunes and download it today. In a world filled with chaos and uncertainty, this song is a reminder of something stronger, America's grit, faith, and fortitude. From the label that brought you The Boss, Anthem of the Free, and Somali Waltz, comes the next anthem, God, Grit, and Guns by the Truth Bombers. Scan the QR code and download it now.
It's God, grit, and guns. God, grit, and guns. God, grit, and guns.
To our enemies, FAFO.
God, grit, and guns.
Running on empty, brain fog, can't focus, and those sugar-loaded energy drinks? Sure, they spike you fast, then crash you hard. Fix it with Soldier Fuel, the official energy drink of real America's voice. Soldier Fuel was born in the military to solve a real problem. Troops were relying on sugary drinks that wreck performance, so they built a better option. Zero sugar and steady energy, powered by caffeine, taurine, inositol, and extra B vitamins for clean energy and focus. No roller coaster crash. This isn't gas station hype. Soldier Fuel was built alongside the U.S. military and proven where it counts. Used by American soldiers and elite special operations.
This is really good.
And when you fuel up, you give back. 15% of profits go to pro-military charities. Scan the QR code, search for Soldier Fuel on Amazon, or go to buysoldierfuel.com and get an automatic 15% off your entire order.
Through every storm, every moment of uncertainty,
Everybody needs to pray for Charlie Kirk right now.
Rav has stood strong.
We're not going to tolerate this stuff anymore.
Turn that anger into motivation to save this nation.
When we move together, there is power.
The cries of this widow will echo like a battle cry.
This is more than news. It's a movement.
This revolution of people taking their countries back.
A turning point. A chance to be part of something greater than yourself. Scan the QR code and stand with Rav. The story isn't over, and neither is your part in it. Step in. Be counted. Be heard. Together, we are Rav.
We will achieve American greatness. And we are just getting.
If you ever wanted to go to Britain, Michigan, well, here's your chance. It's a live look at Britain, Michigan. Not sure where that's at, but great state of Michigan. Welcome back. America's Sunrise Early Edition. I am Brian Glenn. Joining us now is America's Sunrise host David Brody. David, have you ever been to Britain, Michigan? Question of the day.
No, I've been to Britain, but never to Britain, Michigan. And I'll just kind of leave it at that. I thought you were going to ask me if I've ever been to the Strait of Hormuz, which, by the way, this just in, Brian, I am not taking my family. I mean, here's what we're not talking about in our household. Hey, guys, let's do this. A family vacation to the Strait of Hormuz. Not happening. Not happening here.
No. I'm not getting the boat out on the jet ski and taking the Strait of Hormuz right now.
Yeah.
But in a serious note, there are a lot of countries that now said they don't necessarily want to get involved. Japan being one of the latest that I read last night. But it looks like we need some help securing this very vital area.
Okay, so time out for a second. And let me do the caveat or the disclaimer and say, I've been for this war since it began. Okay, I'm all in. But here's the issue. If you're going to start a war, a military operation, my bad, sorry, we want to be clear here, right? If you're going to do that, maybe you should have a plan to figure out the Strait of Hormuz without any other countries that are going to help. In other words, you can't go in and now all of a sudden say, hey, by the way, we really kind of need your help here because it's like a world problem. Like, that's true, and other countries should help. But to rely on them at this point, I mean, you had to figure you were going to go at it alone. And did you really think Keir Starmer, the Neville Chamberlain, if you will, of 2025, 2026, is going to all of a sudden start to mobilize the British fleet to get involved? I mean, just not going to happen, Brian. So this idea that President Trump is now calling on all these countries to come and help out, why would they help out? They didn't want to help out to begin with. So I think this is a heavy lift, is my point.
Well, he told them in the very beginning that he didn't need their help, and now we need. And now he's begging NATO to come in and help us. And you know, and I saw one report, David. I don't know if you saw this, that the Iranians were going to allow an Indian vessel through only if they paid in in Chinese currency. Did you hear any reports on that?
I did. As a matter of fact, I'm looking at the latest. It's Associated Press, so take it with a grain of salt. But no, I mean, I think overall this would be accurate, that India did indeed send a couple of vessels through the Strait of Hormuz in the last 24 hours or so. And
still be the dollar in currency on that, because that would actually be very disruptive to us. Okay, let's shift over. Let's fast forward to the midterms. Obviously, the average price of gas is around $3.65, depending on where you live in the country. Does this go into the midterms? Could this hurt Republicans, as we need to win the House and the Senate to keep this Trump agenda going?
Let me think for a second. Just give me a sec. Yes, the answer. I think the answer, I'm sorry, my bad. Yes, with a 72 font, all caps, and it's bold and all of that. Yeah, Brian, and you know the deal, right? I mean, politically, you go to war. A lot of people think, okay, you go to war, the country's behind you, rah, rah. Yeah, that was the days of World War II. That were the days of 50 years ago, 40. Today, much different. You got a split country here, so I'm not convinced it does you any political favors.
Yeah, and I was against the war going in, but now that we're in it, David, I'm with you. I want to win it. I want to get out for America, help the world, let it be a peaceful place. I'm all for it. David Brody, in about 6 minutes, you can have more David Brody. Thank you for joining me this morning.
Thanks, Brian.
All right. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back here tomorrow at 7 a.m. You can always follow me at Brian Glenn TV across the board, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Until next time, goodbye. God bless. We'll see you.
American Sunrise is a great way to start your morning. Join us Monday through Friday from 8 to 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We've got the news of the day and some compelling interviews that you don't want to miss. Here's what you missed from yesterday. Guys, can we just get right to it? Because President Trump is must-watch TV. I think you guys both agree. He was in Kentucky yesterday, and I'm going to say that he was actually on the campaign trail because he was there to help a candidate who's primarying Thomas Massie. The president talked about the economy. He, of course, also urged the Senate to pass the Save America Act, and then he slammed Thomas Massie.
Yeah, vintage Trump. Apparently he hasn't gone anywhere. That's good. The Beltway hasn't taken it out of him, I guess.
Look, it's kind of strange. Let's be honest. I mean, Massey is a constitutional libertarian, right? I mean, he channels MAG on so much stuff. He hates the omnibus bills. He was against that COVID cares package back in 2020 in President Trump's first term, where, everything was being thrown in. I mean, he's like, what are we doing here? And all of MAG agrees with him. Let's be honest. And so then you have Trump coming out against Massey. So it's just kind of strange.
Investigators say 2 homemade explosive devices were ignited during Flushing protests over the weekend, but failed to detonate. Injuries were reported, and the FBI is continuing to investigate.
It hit us hard. These kids here are trained by ISIS. They come from extremely privileged households. $2.5 million. One of them have come from in Pennsylvania. The other one close to $1 million. Raised in privilege, and yet they are screaming, "Death to America! Death to America!"
And meanwhile, Mamdani is mumbling and bumbling his way through all of this. this. He won't call out the radical Islamic nature of what's going on here. You're on the city council. Do you feel like a voice in the wilderness here, screaming, shouting from the rooftops?
Yes. First off, my city council consists of 51 seats. Only 5 of them belong to a Republican voice. The Progressive Caucus is 100% behind this young guy here who got elected. I do not even recognize him as my mayor.
Mamdani is proposing a 9.5% property tax increase. I'm sorry, excuse my English, but where they do that at? Like, that's outrageous.
That is the ticket to take everybody out of here. We are the tax base, the middle class. And what he's doing basically is holding us hostage because he's telling Kathy Hochul upstate, if you don't give us this, if you don't give us that, then I have no choice but to increase property taxes. Well, that's a load of you-know-what. If you will just look at our budget line for line, he created from $108 billion, which was a disaster, to $127 billion, which means he's added more and more programs to this budget.
Running on empty, brain fog, can't focus, and those sugar-loaded energy drinks? Sure, they spike you fast, then crash you hard. Fix it with Soldier Fuel, the official energy drink of real America's voice. Soldier Fuel was born in the military to solve a real problem. Troops were relying on sugary drinks that wreck performance, so they built a better option. Zero sugar and steady energy, powered by caffeine, taurine, inositol, and extra B vitamins for clean energy and focus. No roller coaster crash. This isn't gas station hype. Soldier Fuel was built alongside the U.S. military and proven where it counts. Used by American soldiers and elite special operations.
This is really good.
And when you fuel up, you give back. 15% of profits go to pro-military charities. Scan the QR code, search for Soldier Fuel on Amazon, or go to buysoldierfuel.com and get an automatic 15% off your entire order. Through every storm, every moment of uncertainty,
everybody needs to pray for Charlie Kirk right now.
Rav has stood strong.
We're not going to tolerate this stuff anymore. Turn that anger into motivation to save this nation.
When we move together, there is power.
The cries of this widow will echo like a battle cry.
This is more than news. It's a movement.
This revolution of people taking their countries back.
A turning point. A chance to be part of something greater than yourself. Scan the QR code and stand with Rav. The story isn't over, and neither is your part in it. Step in, be counted, be heard. Together, we are Rav.
We will achieve American greatness. And we are just getting.
Ahead on American Sunrise, a Capitol Hill showdown. The Senate set to take up the Save America Act this week, despite filibuster threats. Now, though, the House has thrown in a new wrinkle. North Carolina Congressman Mark Harris will be here to weigh in. Plus, is gas price relief in sight? There is a new move to help lower them. It's underway. Of course, the environmentalists are not happy. We're going to take a closer look. And later, the Pentagon is moving an amphibious assault ship and thousands of Marines towards the Middle East as tensions with Iran escalate. What does it show exactly when it comes to force, and especially in the Strait of Hormuz? And what will this all mean for U.S. strategy? Those stories and more as American Sunrise starts right now. Good morning, America.
Welcome to American Sunrise.
Whether it's culture,
We have breaking news to share with you.
politics,
President Trump is joining us live now from Florida.
we've got you covered.
This is what it looks like to be a patriot.
We have to protect the American family.
The American dream is still alive.
I'm David Brody.
I'm Terrance.
And I'm Dr. Gina. Good morning, everybody. I am Dr. Gina. We are live with you from the Palm Beaches. Let's bring in David Brody. He's in Washington, D.C. Terrance Bates in our Denver newsroom. Good morning, guys.
Happy Monday.
Dr. Gina and David,
Monday.
good morning. Happy Monday. Hey, let's just get right into the conversation, guys, because if you remember about a year and a half ago, we were describing MAGA as this huge tent under which everyone is welcome. There might be an argument this morning, though, that tent is falling in on itself, and that would be due to a post we're getting ready to show you. President Trump supporting Mark Levin very publicly, writing on Truth Social, those that speak ill of Mark will quickly fall by the wayside, as do the people whose ideas, policies, and footings, are not sound. They are not MAGA. I am, and MAGA includes not allowing Iran, a sick, demented, and violent terrorist regime, to have a nuclear weapon to blow up the United States of America, the Middle East, and ultimately the rest of the world. MAGA is about stopping them cold, and that is exactly what we are doing. God bless our great military, which I have rebuilt since the beginning of my first term to achieve everlasting peace through strength. Trump, of course, here, as you heard, defining what MAGA is and who is MAGA. Dr. Gina, I'd love to get your take on all of this. I'm sure you read this yesterday. If you had a little while to let it sink in, your thoughts?
Well, gosh, midterms are my thoughts.
Okay.
Yeah, I sort of wish that our president would let MAGA have the conversation it's having right now. Without alienating anybody, because I just don't want to lose any votes in midterms, and we need it so badly. And MAGA's taking a long look at itself in the mirror, trying to decide what they are. MAGA happened during the Tea Party, and that was the formation of what today we call MAGA, or the America First movement. And it's just, it's looking in the mirror, it's redefining itself, and my personal opinion is that Donald Trump is such a great president. He should keep being president and just let everyone have this conversation. But to amplify it, I fear, David, what implications this could have on the midterms. I don't know.
I'm with you on that, for sure, with the midterms. I think this is a fight for the soul of MAGA. What is MAGA going forward post-Trump? And that's going to be a big theme here as we talk about it. You've got Mark Levin and others on one side, obviously. And let's be clear, why he posted that is because over the weekend, Megyn Kelly and Mark Levin got into a big, well, put it this way, we can't put any of that on the air, what they were talking about on both sides. It was nasty. And so President Trump is siding with Mark Levin. That is not going to make a lot of folks in MAGA happy at all. But look, President Trump believes that Megyn Kelly, I'm going to just say their names. I mean, sometimes we just got to say the names. Let's just say it. Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson, there are many others, but we'll just start with those two, are trying to shape and define what MAGA is. They talk about America first, and Trump says, well, I'll tell you what MAGA is. So is it MAGA or America first? I believe that they're two different views, or at least viewpoints within that schism. MAGA versus America first. I think it's different. Some people say it's the same. I don't agree. I don't agree at all. And we can talk about that. But the point is that Trump is weighing in and siding with Mark Levin. And I think that's going to tick a lot of people off in MAGA. And I think the division will be worse because of it. Having said that, it's a fight that is out there and needs to be had. So let's have it in the open. We'll have it here and other places. It needs to be had. Why not? I mean, that's freedom of speech and everything else under the sun.
Yeah, it's funny, though. People were really letting Trump off the hook on this. They were saying, hey, I love the president. I may not agree with him on this or that. But I hate for him to insert himself in this and alienate what is a substantial portion of the MAGA base that is out there having a lot of thoughts about it. And didn't this all start, I believe, and I could be confused about this, but I thought this started when Levin went after Jack Posobiec for holding up a crucifix and saying Christ is king or something on a show. I didn't see this. I just read about this. So I didn't actually see when it happened or what Levin said in response. But I think that's what sort of started the trickle of some of the personalities saying some of the things they're saying. I think to the average rank and file MAGA person out there, they're like, I love my president. I support my president. And I don't understand what's going on in the undercurrent. I'm watching and I'm listening. I think that's the average person. So that's why I hate that President Trump inserted himself, because it's going to almost force the hand of a lot of people in MAGA.
I believe that once everything is said and done and when it's time to vote, MAGA voters, even America First voters, if you want to separate them, are savvy enough that they will vote the policies, they will vote the issues, and they will continue to potentially... Well, I would hope so, and I think that they will ultimately vote the issues and won't vote personalities. Just my 2 cents. Go ahead, David. Go ahead.
I think they might stay home. I think some folks just might stay home. I think to suppress the turnout.
When voters get cynical, they stay home. It's just what they do.
That's right.
When they start to distrust their politicians, they stay home. We can wish it was a different way, but that is just statistical fact. So I am concerned. I'm concerned. And I hope that, President Trump has always been a person who could really bring people together that have never been brought together before. This isn't his last comment on this. If he's going to come out on this isn't his last comment. So hopefully he can do that in this situation. Let's get to today's Bible verse. Proverbs 17:22. A merry heart does good like medicine, but a broken spirit dries the bones. Senate Democrats expected to block the Save America Act with a filibuster, leaving Republicans short of the 60 votes needed to advance that bill. The GOP holds a 53-47 majority, but without Democrat support, the measure unlikely to pass in the Senate. The House has already approved the bill, which would require documentary proof of citizenship to register to vote and photo identification to cast a ballot in federal elections. Senate leaders say they still plan to hold a vote, even as Democrats vow to block the measure for more. Let's bring in Pastor North Carolina Congressman Mark Harris. Congressman, how will the House respond to the Senate's handling of the Save America Act?
Well, Gina, it's great to be with you this morning. Thank you for having me. I think we continue to hold out hope, or we have over the weekend, that the Senate was going to force, that Senator Thune was going to force his talking filibuster to take place and really just wait out or wear out the Democrats so they try to do it. I'm still hopeful that something is going to happen there in the Senate. But even with that, the president last week, when we were away on our retreat, talking about the issues as we move forward, really ramped up what he encouraged us to pass in the House, which would be not only the Save America Act with those first 2 provisions, but add to it 3 other things that really ties into what you guys were talking about earlier, and that is creating a contrast election, which is going to be very, very important to get beyond some of the Twitter wars, to get beyond some of the personalities, and to come back to exactly what Terrance was talking about, really driving home these policies that really differentiate Republicans from Democrats and move forward with that in the midterms, because the people of MAGA are savvy, I believe, and I do believe they understand our nation is at stake. And there's been too much opportunity, too much that has taken place with the trifecta that we've been given, too much accomplished in the one big beautiful bill, that we've got to continue this path, because we all know the alternative. We all know if we come up short in the midterms what the last 2 years of this administration is going to look like with Democrats in control of any part of the House or the Senate.
Yeah, point well taken, for sure. Congressman, let me ask you about the war in Iran and gas prices. Take a look at this headline. The Trump administration is invoking the Defense Production Act, to restart California offshore oil operations. They're planning to bring oil production and pipelines back online. That obviously goes to possible, maybe, we don't know, potential relief at the gas pump. What are you hearing from constituents down there? And what's the appetite for how long they're willing to put up with higher gas prices and the military operations in Iran?
Well, David, that's a great question of how long people are going to be willing to put up with it before patience wears thin. I will tell you, in my district, I hear people all the time that believe in what President Trump is doing here. They understand the importance of the conflict that we have stepped into in Iran. They recognize that this has been 47 years in the making. Everyone's talked about something needed to happen. President Trump was willing to do it. So I do think the president, he talked about it throughout the campaign. He's talked about it during his first year and the few months in office, the importance of energy independence. And so he's moving us in that direction. And I think he's taking all the steps that he can to try to really bring down those gas prices. I still think the energy secretary I heard yesterday was very clear this could go on for a few more weeks. And I do think for a few more weeks, the American people recognizing that this is an operation that needs to happen, not only for our national security, but for the security of the world. There cannot be a nuclear Iran. And that's bottom line. And he's taking out their ballistic missiles. We're seeing this militarily advance quicker, really, even maybe we thought it would. But we need to get to a conclusion. I agree. But again, we're taking out their missiles. We're being able to, we've really just done away with their Navy. I meet people all the time that weren't even aware that Iran would have a Navy that would have 60 plus vessels in it. And many of those have been destroyed and sunk. So we're seeing those things happen. The American people, I believe, have the grit and the determination to stand with this president and what he's doing. And I think that we're going to see those prices hopefully begin to adjust as soon as this conflict comes to an end.
Congressman Mark Harris, we always appreciate you being with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure to be with you.
All right, guys, coming up, we're going to check out the hottest headlines, not those cold ones, the hot ones, from the RAV newsroom with Terrance Bates. Also later, President Trump calling on other nations to help reopen the strategic Strait of Hormuz, a waterway critical to the world's oil supply, but with Iran issuing threats and allies hesitating. The question today, can a global naval response come together before tensions boil over? We have expert analysis coming up right after this on American Sunrise.
Get ready, America. March 25th through 28th, CPAC USA 2026 takes over the Lone Star State, and Real America's Voice brings you wall-to-wall coverage. Live shows from the convention floor, exclusive interviews, powerful panels, live music, entertainment, and more. All from the RAV stage. Hear from RAV's own Steve Bannon.
The only way we don't have victory if we surrender. And we're not going to retreat. We're not going to surrender. We're not going to quit.
Eric Bowling.
Real leadership listens without lecturing. It respects people enough to talk to them, not down to them.
And Jack Posobiec live.
Freedom is a responsibility that we must uphold every single day of our lives.
Plus Dr. Gina and others.
We always came together because we know what we're fighting for.
CPAC USA 2026, only on Real America's Voice, presented by Birch Gold Group and Patriot Mobile. Running on empty, brain fog, can't focus, and those sugar-loaded energy drinks? Sure, they spike you fast, then crash you hard. Fix it with Soldier Fuel, the official energy drink of Real America's Voice. Soldier Fuel was born in the military to solve a real problem. Troops were relying on sugary drinks that wreck performance, so they built a better option. Zero sugar and steady energy, powered by caffeine, taurine, inositol, and extra B vitamins for clean energy and focus. No roller coaster crash. This isn't gas station hype. Soldier Fuel was built alongside the U.S. military and proven where it counts. Used by American soldiers and elite special operations.
This is really good.
And when you fuel up, you give back. 15% of profits go to pro-military charities. Scan the QR code, search for Soldier Fuel on Amazon, or go to buysoldierfuel.com and get an automatic 15% off your entire order. Through every storm, every moment of uncertainty,
everybody needs to pray for Charlie Kirk right now.
RAV has stood strong.
We're not going to tolerate this stuff anymore.
Turn that anger into motivation to save this nation.
When we move together, there is power.
The cries of this widow will echo like a battle cry.
This is more than news. It's a movement.
This revolution of people taking their countries back.
A turning point. A chance to be part of something greater than yourself. Scan the QR code and stand with RAV. The story isn't over, and neither is your part in it. Step in, be counted, be heard. Together, we are RAV.
We will achieve American greatness. And we are just getting.
This news break is brought to you by AMAC, Association of Mature American Citizens.
Gaylord, Michigan, look at that there. You can see in the snow, 18 inches. What? It's March. I know March can get snowy. I got it, but still, you're moving to April. Easter is just a few weeks away, and you get hit with that. Boy, welcome back, everybody, to American Sunrise. I'm David Brody. We have a complete weather forecast right ahead, along with top headlines. T. Bates in our Real America's Voice newsroom in Denver. It's all sponsored by AMAC.
The Association of Mature American Citizens is the conservative voice for Americans 50 and older. AMAC is fighting for the values that you hold dear. Join today. Together, we can write the course of America.
President Trump is reportedly considering pushing back his scheduled trip to China later this month if the Chinese don't help reopen the Strait of Hormuz in order to get more Middle Eastern oil flowing to the global markets. Right now, the war in Iran is limiting the amount of oil that comes through that strait, which in turn has caused the price of oil to spike. The commander-in-chief argues because of China's reliance on oil from the Middle East, the communist country should help get the oil tanker traffic in the strait moving again in the face of Iran's threats. 47 also calling on a handful of other countries to send warships to the region to help secure maritime shipping lanes. He's reportedly negotiating with about 7 countries that heavily rely on Middle East crude to join a coalition that would police the waterway. The CEOs of the nation's top airlines are calling on Congress to end the current shutdown of the Department of Homeland Security. All of this so that federal aviation workers, including Transportation Safety Administration employees, can have their paychecks restored in order to avoid continued problems in airports across the country. Long lines like the ones you're looking at here becoming all too common these days for people who are looking to fly for spring break or just fly in general. In an open letter to Congress, executives from American, Delta, Southwest, JetBlue, among others, writing, quote, "Once again, air travel is a political football amid another government shutdown." The airlines are now calling on lawmakers to pass the Aviation Funding Solvency Act and the Aviation Funding Stability Act. Both of those measures would guarantee that air traffic controllers are paid regardless of the government's funding status. The Keep America Flying Act would implement similar measures for TSA agents. U.S. airlines are projecting 171 million passengers this spring season. The increased travel volume comes as DHS says more than 300 TSA agents have already quit just since the start of the latest shutdown about 3 weeks ago. Now to new information about last week's attack on a synagogue in suburban Detroit. The Israeli military claims the guy who drove his car into the building, forcing security to shoot him, is the brother of a Hezbollah commander who managed weapons for a unit that fired rockets at Israel. Officials in the Jewish homeland say 4 of the Michigan terrorist's relatives, including his brother, were killed in a March 5th attack on their home in Lebanon. Israel has ratcheted up attacks on Iranian-backed Hezbollah militants in Lebanon since the beginning of the war there in Iran. Back here in the United States, though, the FBI investigating the synagogue attack, but not confirming the Israeli claim or even commenting on the ongoing investigation. We'll continue to monitor that situation for you. That's a quick check of your headlines. Now, let's get a quick check of your forecast with Weather Nation meteorologist Tracy Anthony. Also want to remind you to log on to our various social media pages, be it Getter, Rumble, YouTube. Let us know where you are, and you might be able to get a hometown forecast just for you. But Tracy, first, let's start in the Mid-Atlantic, or not the Mid-Atlantic, excuse me, the Midwest, specifically the Great Lakes region. A lot of snow really accumulating in that region.
Yeah, this is an image from Appleton, Wisconsin, and you can see just whiteout conditions throughout the day on Sunday. They're still stacking up some snow, and we've had some snowfall totals over 24 inches. So as you saw, Gaylord, Michigan, another area that's still going to have the blizzard warnings in place. Now there's a warm side of things as well, and that's going to bring in a good chance for some strong and severe thunderstorms to the Mid-Atlantic. Terrance, my touch screen has froze, so I'm going to have more of an update. Yes, there's so much weather going on, the touchscreen can't handle it right now. So next hour I'll have an update, and I'll have all those maps of exactly where the worst severe is expected.
All right, good stuff. I will just say this, Tracy, before I let you go. I'm glad I'm not in the Midwest right now. I'm not trying to deal with that sort of snow. It did snow here in Colorado over the weekend, but not quite that much. Good to see you,
My dad
Tracy.
got
We'll check in
14
with you next
inches
hour.
he was shoveling out of.
He was shoveling out. I'm glad he didn't call me. Tell him I'll bring him some hot chocolate, though. All right, thanks so much, Tracy.
Yep.
Up next, President Trump sending thousands of U.S. Marines and warships to the Middle East as tensions with Iran escalate. Thousands of Marines, not thousands of warships, but he is sending warships as well. So what could all of this mean for the war efforts? We'll explain. That's coming up.
It's God-ridden guns, no fear in my chest. It's doing what's right when it costs you rest. I don't make threats, I don't blow.
Running on empty, brain fog, can't focus, and those sugar-loaded energy drinks? Sure, they spike you fast, then crash you hard. Fix it with Soldier Fuel, the official energy drink of real America's voice. Soldier Fuel was born in the military to solve a real problem. Troops were relying on sugary drinks that wreck performance, so they built a better option. Zero sugar and steady energy, powered by caffeine, taurine, and inositol, and extra B vitamins for clean energy and focus. No roller coaster crash. This isn't gas station hype. Soldier Fuel was built alongside the U.S. military and proven where it counts. Used by American soldiers and elite special operations.
This is really good.
And when you fuel up, you give back. 15% of profits go to pro-military charities. Scan the QR code, search for Soldier Fuel on Amazon, or go to buysoldierfuel.com and get an automatic 15% off your entire order. Through every storm, every moment of uncertainty,
everybody needs to pray for Charlie Kirk right now.
Rav has stood strong.
We're not going to tolerate this stuff anymore.
Turn that anger into motivation to save this nation.
When we move together, there is power.
The cries of this widow will echo like a battle cry.
This is more than news. It's a movement.
This revolution of people taking their countries back.
A turning point. A chance to be part of something greater than yourself. Scan the QR code and stand with Rav. The story isn't over, and neither is your part in it. Step in, be counted, be heard. Together, we are Rav.
We will achieve American greatness. And we are just getting.
But I don't run. It's God-ridden guns.
Peaks Island, Maine, right around Portland. Portland, Maine. About 1,000 people or so live on Peaks Island. Welcome back, everybody, to American Sunrise. All right, President Trump says he believes Iran is interested in a deal to end the conflict, but he refuses to agree to a ceasefire, calling current terms, quote, not good enough. Trump told NBC News any agreement must meet, quote, very solid conditions. But he didn't specify what those conditions are exactly. Iran's foreign minister says Tehran has never requested a ceasefire or negotiations, and they're going to continue to defend itself. Okay, well, good luck with that. Let's now bring in retired Air Force Brigadier General and the author of In God I Trust, making our national motto my personal declaration. That would be John Teichert. Thanks so much for being here. So let's talk about Karg Island. Sounds like a reality series that you'd watch on Bravo.
It does.
But it doesn't it? But it turns out this is reality in literally for Iran, what's going on there, because they got their island bombed to smithereens. And that, of course, is a critical oil hub. Iran says, hey, any attack on our energy infrastructure, we're going to go ahead and take care of business. But they're not doing anything at this point. What's going on? Tell us about Karg Island.
A little bit. Yeah, I think they're just blowing smoke because they've shut down the Straits of Hormuz, so they've already played their energy card. But Karg Island is in the north part of the Arabian Gulf. It's about half the size of Manhattan, and 90% of Iran's oil is exported out of there. And so the attacks that we undertook this weekend were to destroy any of the military defensive capability there on Karg Island, which makes it vulnerable. And it's also an important reminder to Iran that if they continue continue to hold energy flows through the straits at risk, then we very possibly can destroy 90% of the output of their oil, which is their economic lifeline.
Let's talk about the continued military buildup in the region. The New York Post has this headline which says the Pentagon is sending an assault ship as well as at least 2,500 Marines towards Iran as the U.S. works to reopen the Strait of Hormuz and oil prices continue to spike. The USS Tripoli is also going to be in that area. Is there anything we should read into the continued buildup of troops there in the region, particularly given the fact that the administration and the Pentagon is saying that this war is virtually won, that Iran's navy has been sunk, its air force is depleted, and its missile and drone operations are largely limited?
Terrance, I think specifically the moving of that amphibious assault ship from the Indo-Pacific to the Persian Gulf does two things for the United States that benefit us. Number one, it provides the president options. If he makes the decision that there needs to be a ground attack, maybe around the Straits of Hormuz to make it safe, or maybe onto Karg Island, he would have the men and material in place to do so. And then number two, it sends a very strong signal to Iran that we are willing to escalate, which may make Iran more compliant or willing to make a deal that's favorable to us.
Also, the Trump administration planning a multinational effort to escort ships through the strait as regional tensions disrupt global shipping. According to the Wall Street Journal, an announcement could come soon, but many countries remain hesitant to commit warships. Allies, even like Japan, have said currently they have no plan to send ships at all. So how do you see this potential coalition playing out?
Gina, I think it's important to realize that in the last year, we have regained in the United States energy independence, which means we're far less reliant on anything that happens in the Middle East than all of these countries that President Trump has asked to join this coalition. But I do think something the chairman said last week on Thursday at the press conference is important. He said the Navy is ready if tasked. But I think the two reasons they haven't been yet tasked is, number one, that we don't have the resources in place because they're busy fighting a war to escort. That's why we need our allies and partners. And number two, he mentioned it's a tactically complex environment, which means we haven't yet battered their defense and offensive capabilities sufficiently to allow ships to flow through the Straits of Hormuz. But I'm hoping that in the next few days, we'll be able to achieve the dominance in that region and escorts can start flowing.
John, does the administration have to, can they do this without ground troops? In other words, you mentioned ground troops possibly with the Strait of Hormuz there where Iran has the choke point there in the north. Can they go ahead and do that without ground troops, or you're going to need to kind of do the whole kit and caboodle here?
No, David, I don't think that we need ground troops, but I think it's important for us to have the option if needed and for Iran to believe that a ground invasion is real. In fact, I would be remiss as a former fighter pilot if I didn't remind your viewers that right now the Iranians are dispersed because there's no threat of ground invasion, which means that it's tougher to target the adversary in mass. But if they threaten, or if there is a threat of a ground invasion, they have to mass together, which makes very juicy targets for air power. And I think at least having that capability or that option makes air power all the more effective against the targets we're trying to strike.
All right, General Teichert, I'm going to continue this whole talk about ground troops. I'd like you to put your general stars on for this question. While there may not be a ground invasion, and you said if, which is a big if, I think we all heard that, do you see the potential, is there a larger potential for a smaller special operations sort of unit to be on the ground there to carry out some sort of specific mission?
Terrance, I think, one, the president wants options, but two, whether it's Karg Island or operationally significant areas around the Straits of Hormuz, I think it's very possible and probable that there could be some special operations activity, if there's not already, to secure key terrain so that we can get oil flowing and, again, pressure Iran into making the decision to end this war.
Well, retired Brigadier General John Teichert, we got to have you back. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. And thank you for your service to our country. Really appreciate it.
It's my privilege. Thanks for having me.
All right. Coming up, could your toothbrush help protect your brain? There's a transition. A new study links gum disease and cavities to a much higher risk of stroke. what researchers found after tracking thousands of people for 2 decades and why dentists say oral health matters more than you think. The facts when we come back.
America, it's time to make some noise. Scan the QR code right now and download the new song, God, Grit, and Guns by the Truth Bombers. Or search for it on iTunes and download it today. In a world filled with chaos and uncertainty, this song is a reminder of something stronger, America's grit, faith, and fortitude. From the label that brought you The Boss, Anthem of the Free, and Somali Waltz comes the next anthem, God, Grit, and Guns by the Truth Bombers. Scan the QR code and download it now.
It's God, grit, and guns. God, grit, and guns. God, grit, and guns.
To our enemies, FAFO.
God, grit, and guns.
The world doesn't slow down because you're tired. And weakness gets exposed. That's why the best take Go Pills. Born for military performance, built for high-pressure days when your brain has to move faster than the chaos. This is neurotransmitter support, helping your mind fire clean signals so you can process data fast, decide fast, and stay locked in when it matters. Packed with clinically supported ingredients designed to boost cognitive performance so you stay sharp under pressure. The most badass military in the world uses this kind of energy every day. Now you can too. From training to eliminate America's enemies to smoke-checking terrorists, Go Pills keep the mission fueled. Real world tested by high-level tactical communities. Now available to you. Greenlight the beast inside. Pop a Go Pill. Scan the QR code or go to buygopills.com and receive 15% off your entire order.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
I'm fueled up now. Woo!
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the Rav Hosts drink, Soldier Fuel.
Let's go. All right, that's Provincetown, Massachusetts. Welcome back to American Sunrise. I'm Dr. G. We are so happy you joined us this Monday. Time now for today's health news, sponsored by the Wellness Company. And under the microscope today, a new study suggests your oral health. Now, I'm going to give you a disclaimer right from the top, daughter of a dentist. So I have always thought this, and I've tried to tell my children, but now I have backup. Oral health may be linked to stroke and other cardiovascular risks. Researchers led by the University of South Carolina found that people with both gum disease and cavities have an 86% higher risk of stroke than those with healthy teeth and gums. The study followed 6,000 adults for 2 decades and was published in Neurology Open Access, which is a journal of the American Academy of Neurology. Researchers say inflammation and oral bacteria may help explain the link, but the study shows an association and does not prove cause and effect, because there's a chicken and egg question, right? If you got somebody that's unhealthy in other ways, obviously that's going to be reflected in their dental hygiene as well. So you just don't know. Anyway, experts say brushing, flossing, regular dental visits may help support better oral and cardiovascular health. I know my son got this new toothbrush thing that, like, it goes in your mouth. It's this whole, like, mouthpiece thing, and supposedly like 100% more efficient than, human error when you're trying to brush your teeth. So I don't know. I'm waiting for the verdict. I told him, you tell me after you've had it for a while if you love it. And if you do, I'll get one. I'm kind of a toothbrush junkie. Collector. The Trump administration has brought a lot of positive changes when it comes to fixing our broken healthcare system, but there's only so much the government can do. And if you really want to make America healthy again, it has to start at home with each of us. And that's where the Wellness Company comes in. You see and hear from their doctors all the time. You know their products are the gold standard when it comes to keeping you safe and healthy. The Wellness Company makes you prepared for whatever happens with their prescription medical kits that contain an assortment of life-saving medications and the guidebooks to tell you how to use the meds in the kit. Additionally, the Wellness Company offers a variety of products: parasite cleanses, methylene blue, weight loss, so much more. These can help you stay healthy, live a longer, more satisfying life. Make America healthy again starts at home. Do your part, protect the health of yourself and your family. Go to twc.health/RAV. Give it an order. That's twc.health/RAV. Use the promo code RAV. It'll save you 10%. Debro, back to you.
Thank you, Dr. G. All right, the watchdog.
Do you use just a regular toothbrush?
I do.
Like an electric toothbrush or like a brushy? Okay.
Just a brushy.
Yeah.
I know. I've been told to get this electric toothbrush all the time, and I don't do it. I don't do it.
Yeah, well, the one that my son got is like this whole mouthpiece. You put the whole thing in there, and supposedly because it goes around each of your teeth, it can't miss any part. I don't know the name of it or anything.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not big. I'm really not into hygiene, so no, that's not true. That's not true. All right. Can you imagine people saying that? I really don't care about how I look and hygiene. All right. The watchdog group called Defending Education is raising concerns about student involvement in anti-ICE protests. Oh, great. Yet another problem. Thousands of students have walked out of class to protest federal immigration enforcement actions. This is what you're walking out of class for? With demonstrations reported in multiple states, some of these walkouts are happening during school hours, with students leaving campus to join larger rallies. The protests come as the national debate over immigration and ICE operations continues to intensify. It has nothing to do with your intestines. So let's bring in the president of Courage is a Habit. That would be Alvin Louie. Alvin, great to have you here. So what's the deal? I mean, how can schools combat this? What can parents do to schools that allow this? I mean, how do you navigate this as a parent? Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me back. By the way, I use an electric toothbrush. I don't want to brag or anything.
I've been shamed.
Make you feel bad,
just
David.
kidding. I'm just kidding.
So great opening question, because we're all about taking action instead of just complaining on Facebook. So the one thing that parents must do is download our toolkit, because we give you a easy copy and paste letter that has 7 questions that the schools cannot answer, and it puts them in a big rock in a hard place. And so the way to get it is you go to courageisahabit.org and simply type in 7 questions, and you'll find it. Just go to courageisahabit.org, click on search, type in 7 questions, and these questions highlight how the schools are completely, not only are they complicit, but they're liable, because there's so many things that can happen to a child when they march. And there's a lot of already happened. Children have been hurt, and you can't control who interacts with them when they leave. And then there's viewpoint discrimination. So we go through these 7 questions that they cannot answer because they're out to indoctrinate your children. Here's the most important thing. We don't need 5 parents to do it. We need 500 parents to do it. We need 1,000 parents per school to do it. But we made it so easy for you guys. We made it so that even if you've never been to a school board meeting before, you can do this.
Yeah, you bring up such a great point. I know that just little things that you'd want to do, like, go across the street to lunch, right, in school, was absolutely, oh, no, we can't let you, because then we'd be liable if something happened to you crossing the street. But you can go to a protest. You make a great point that I'm not sure it's really going to point to the hypocrisy in a lot of schools.
It is. Not only is it, are they liable, but we're also asking, one of the questions is, what are you doing for the students who are pro-ICE? How are you preventing the bullying and the peer pressure the harassment and peer pressure from their own peers and from the teachers and school counselors. And what is your policy there? How are you protecting the kids? And they can't answer that because look, the thing is, the real truth is that government K through 12 today is not about education in terms of academics. They're about education in creating social justice activists. So the students are not doing something exterior from or external from what they're learning. They're doing exactly what they're being taught in school. And a lot of the kids that are marching in high school, they've been learning about this since they were in early middle school, sometimes even elementary school, depending on what state you live in.
Well, I think your hat is hilarious, and I think you should send us one.
I will absolutely send you my Embrace Exclusion hat. This was brand new. We just put it up on the store about 2 weeks ago.
Remind us where everybody can go to support what you're doing and to get their copy of this, like you said, this easy step-by-step thing for parents. Please tell us.
Absolutely. It's courageisahabit.org. Courageisahabit.org. We have a plethora of tools, a huge library for parents to combat things exactly like this, but you have to use it. For this particular one with the ICE walkouts, if you go to search, type in 7 questions, you will see that this toolkit has this letter. It has them in graphic form, so you can text it, you can email it, you can put it in your newsletters, you can put it in your Facebook group, and it's a copy and paste. Anybody can use it.
Awesome.
And we made it especially for you. And of course, if you click on our store over there, you can grab one of these Embrace Exclusion hats, because we really want to remind parents and Americans that a strong life, a healthy life, and a healthy society really depends on embracing exclusion, not including everything and being exclusive, because that's exactly what they're teaching kids. You got to be inclusive of people who hate our country.
Yeah, and because America is exclusive, that's what makes it really cool. Alvin Louis, thanks for your time.
Thank you so much.
All right, coming up, did the CIA spy on Tucker Carlson? Carlson claims intelligence officials read his private texts with contacts in Iran, and it says they're trying to frame him as a foreign agent. Whew. Is this national security or government overreach? We're going to talk about it next on American Sunrise.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
I'm fueled up now. Woo!
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the Rav Hosts drink, Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
The world doesn't slow down because you're tired. And weakness gets exposed. That's why the best take Go Pills. Born for military performance, built for high-pressure days when your brain has to move faster than the chaos. This is neurotransmitter support, helping your mind fire clean signals so you can process data fast, decide fast, and stay locked in when it matters. Packed with clinically supported ingredients designed to boost cognitive performance so you stay sharp under pressure. The most badass military in the world uses this kind of energy every day. Now you can too. From training to eliminate America's enemies to smoke-checking terrorists, Go Pills keep the mission fueled. Real world tested by high-level tactical communities. Now available to you. Greenlight the beast inside. Pop a Go Pill. Scan the QR code or go to buygopills.com and receive 15% off your entire order.
when it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
I'm fueled up now. Woo!
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the Rav Hosts drink, Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
Welcome back. Coffee pods are easy, but most of them are just caffeine and nothing else. Rejuvenate pods are built differently. They're clean pods infused with CA-AKG, a compound linked to longevity, metabolism, and deep cellular energy. It's the easiest way to get better focus, smoother energy, and long-term benefits without changing your routine. I choose them because they match the lifestyle I want. More energy, more clarity, and more intention in how I start my day. If you're going to drink coffee anyway, make it one that actually supports the life you're building. Head to 1775coffee.com/Rav and try Rejuvenate Pods today. Don't just drink coffee, rejuvenate. All right, now that we're caffeinated, it's time to stay awake, not woke. And today we are discussing Tucker Carlson, who claims the CIA is working on a criminal referral against him for acting as an agent of a foreign country. Take a look at this.
So the other day I found out that the CIA is preparing some kind of criminal referral against me, a crime report to the Department of Justice on the basis of a supposed crime I committed. What's that crime? Well, talking to people in Iran before the war. They read my texts. So the crime under consideration apparently would be the Foreign Agent Act or something like that, acting as an agent of a foreign power. And I don't expect this to go anywhere. I'm not too worried about an actual criminal case against me for a bunch of reasons. One, I'm not an agent of a foreign power. Unlike a lot of people commenting on U.S. politics and global affairs, I have only one loyalty, and that's the United States, and have never acted against it. Its interests are the only interests I care about because I'm from here and I have a lot of kids. So that's not a concern. I've also never taken money from anybody. Don't need it, don't want it, and that's provable.
Let's bring in Dr. Gina, David, and Terrance. David, what were your initial thoughts when you heard this?
Why was Tucker talking to Iran before the war? I think that's a legitimate question. And one other thing about this, and I have many other things to say, but I'll just leave it at this. Why is Mike Huckabee the enemy here in Tucker's mind? Mike Huckabee's the nicest person you'll ever meet. But Mike Huckabee has a brain virus, according to Tucker Carlson. Mike Huckabee is a heretic, according to Tucker Carlson, not paraphrasing here. That raises a lot of questions for me. And this whole thing about Hamas and looking the other way with Tucker, you know, he always says, Hamas, bad. What they did is bad. But let me talk about the Jews in Israel and then go on for 99% of his comments. I got a problem with the imbalance. Okay? That's what I'm saying. Free speech, knock yourself out. Want to criticize Israel, knock yourself out. But the imbalance, T. Bates, concerns me.
I get that. Back to the issue at hand in terms of a criminal investigation surrounding him. Okay, guys, I'm sorry. Caroline Leavitt is speaking at the White House, guys, so I'll couch my thoughts. Let's listen in really quick.
As Commander-in-Chief, it's his #1 priority right now to ensure the continued success of this operation, Epic Fury. So we'll keep you posted on the dates as soon as we can. Thanks, guys.
All right. Unfortunately, we caught that at the very end, guys. So not really much perspective about what she was speaking on. She was talking about dates on something. Potentially, the biggest thing I see in the president's calendar, David, Dr. Gina, and Emily, is that potential upcoming trip to China. And the president on Sunday said that he was considering potentially postponing that trip if China doesn't get involved in securing the Strait of Hormuz. So potentially, and again, I don't know, based on the short remarks we just heard there, if that's what she was talking about, but we'll try to get to the bottom of that. Back to the issue of Tucker Carlson, David, I agree there is an imbalance in terms of his coverage. Specifically, when you asked why he was speaking to Iran, his response was, well, as a commentator on international issues, I try to stay abreast of issues all over the world, and that means talking to sources in all of those places, whether you buy that or not. But there are also questions about the fact that Tucker Carlson, Dr. Gina, owns property reportedly in Qatar, which is a country that only allows Qataris typically to own property. And so how would he be allowed to do that? So there are some serious questions being raised around Tucker Carlson. Whether or not those questions rise to criminality, I can't answer that. But I think there are some questions that need to be answered, and an investigation would be a great way to start to get those answers, Dr. Gina.
Yeah, I think his question is, is this weaponization against his free speech? Regarding the Qatari property, I did a deep dive on that because that was really bothering me too. As you guys know, I was talking about it last week. Apparently, there are certain areas in Qatar that you can't, that foreigners can buy property. Still, the question becomes, though, why would you? That part I just don't understand. I mean, there are a lot of beautiful places in this world. My husband just got back from South America. He's trying to get me to go now. I'm like, can I just go to California? It's kind of looks the same, the pictures he was sending, whatever. That's the thing that I don't understand is why would he? We are at such a weird time in our politics, as we talked about in the opening here, and we're going to continue to have this conversation. And I just think it needs to be something that we do with love and respect, rather than
I agree.
than castigating people and name calling. That's the part that really gets me. Is we were all united when we voted for Donald Trump. How many times over did we work so hard for this? And let's not let them, anyone. When I say them, I mean foreign meddlers interfere in our country and our base before the midterms. That to me is becoming sort of my battle cry.
Well said, Gina. Well said.
I'm with you, sister. I'm crying with you, sis.
All right, coming up, Americans are less likely to say religion is very important. According to new Gallup data, for the first time, less than half call faith central to their lives, and a record share now identify as non-religious. What's driving this shift in America's religious landscape? We've got the answers next on American Sunrise.
It's God-written God. God-written God.
The world doesn't slow down because you're tired. And weakness gets exposed. That's why the best take Go Pills. Born for military performance, built for high-pressure days when your brain has to move faster than the chaos. This is neurotransmitter support, helping your mind fire clean signals so you can process data fast, decide fast, and stay locked in when it matters. Packed with clinically supported ingredients designed to boost cognitive performance so you stay sharp under pressure. The most badass military in the world uses this kind of energy every day. Now you can too. From training to eliminate America's enemies to smoke-checking terrorists, Go Pills keep the mission fueled. Real world tested by high-level tactical communities. Now available to you. Greenlight the beast inside. Pop a Go Pill. Scan the QR code or go to buygopills.com and receive 15% off your entire order.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
I'm fueled up now. Woo!
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the Rav Hosts drink, Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
God bless the USA
In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth.
Welcome back to American Sunrise. It's time now for our Moments of Faith, brought to us by Lee Greenwood and the God Bless the USA Bible. In focus today, Americans are placing less importance on faith, according to a new data from Gallup. The new Gallup study finds 47% of U.S. adults say religion is very important in their lives. That's the first time that number has fallen below half. Meanwhile, about 24% of Americans now identify with no religion at all, a record high. Researchers say generational change and lower church attendance among younger adults are driving the shift in America's religious landscape. Let's now bring in the host of Faith and Freedom, which you can see on weekends here on RAV, Shemaine Nugent. Shemaine, thank you so much for being with us. What do you attribute to this shift? I mean, this was so depressing reading these statistics in this Gallup poll. Why do you think this is happening?
I don't think it's happening. In fact, I think the picture looks way different, especially after Charlie Kirk's passing. You know, right afterwards, if you look at the statistics, Bible sales exploded in the first month with 2.4 million copies sold. And people are just grabbing for answers and their comfort in whatever happened. And faith leaders were actually calling that the Charlie Kirk effect. And you know what? The music industry, Christian music industry is exploding. And plus we're seeing a return from Gen Z now leading the way in regular church-going frequency. I see it. I go to church, not every Sunday, but most Sundays. My church is exploding. So I want to say, my thought is that people just aren't wanting to check the religiosity box. Are you a Christian? Are you not a Christian? And they're finding faith in a different way. You know, Jesus said, Matthew 16:18, I will build my church and the gates of Hades will not overcome it. So even with some of these statistics, the generational shifts, I don't think the real thing is fading. I think it's growing stronger.
Shemaine, it's so interesting. You hear this phrase in politics all the time, don't trust the polls, but I guess it applies to religion and faith too. I would have to agree with you. I'm seeing this as well, especially among Gen Z. What do you think is driving that among young people? That you usually don't see this, that young people are going to church, that they are taking it upon themselves to read the Bible. Only about 30 seconds left with you. What do you think is driving the Gen Z shift to church?
I do think it was the Charlie Kirk effect. I was a Turning Point ambassador, and I've seen local churches, local colleges, their growth exploding. I do think it's a Charlie Kirk effect, and people are waking up.
Absolutely. Charlie Kirk certainly had a huge impact on young people throughout the whole country. Shemaine, so appreciate your time this morning. Thank you for being with us.
God bless.
God bless. Back with the second hour of American Sunrise in just 2 minutes. Stick around.
I don't make threats, I don't blow. It's God-written.
Introducing the limited edition God Bless the USA Bible, inspired by Lee Greenwood's hit song and the most recognized patriotic anthem in America, God Bless the USA. The God Bless the USA large print leather-bound King James Bible also contains America's founding documents, the U.S. Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, and the Pledge of Allegiance, along with a handwritten chorus to Lee Greenwood's song, God Bless the USA. With its large print and slim design, this Bible invites you to explore God's Word anywhere, anytime. The God Bless the USA Bible makes the perfect gift and cherished family heirloom keepsake to pass on to future generations. Designed for an easy reading experience in the trusted King James Version translation, this large print Bible is perfect to take to church, Bible study, work, and for traveling. Order yours today at GodBlessTheUSABible.com.
The world doesn't slow down because you're tired. And weakness gets exposed. That's why the best take Go Pills. Born for military performance, built for high-pressure days when your brain has to move faster than the chaos. This is neurotransmitter support, helping your mind fire clean signals so you can process data fast, decide fast, and stay locked in when it matters. Packed with clinically supported ingredients designed to boost cognitive performance so you stay sharp under pressure. The most badass military in the world uses this kind of energy every day. Now you can too. do. From training to eliminate America's enemies to smoke checking terrorists, Go Pills keep the mission fueled. Real world tested by high-level tactical communities. Now available to you. Greenlight the beast inside. Pop a Go Pill. Scan the QR code or go to buygopills.com and receive 15% off your entire order.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
I'm fueled up now. Woo!
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the Rav Hosts drink, Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
Coming up on the second hour of American Sunrise, the Pentagon announcing it is sending Marines to Iran as combat operations continue in the region. Will there be an order for boots on the ground? We will discuss that specifically. Plus, President Trump calling on allied nations to provide warships to secure the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most valuable pathways for oil. We're going to talk about the impact on the energy markets and what that means for your wallet. And later, the Texas Senate primary intensifying as Ken Paxton actually building up a stronger lead now over incumbent Senator John Cornyn. Is the president ready to give an endorsement? We'll have the latest. Those stories and so much more as the second hour of American Sunrise starts on a Monday right now. Good morning, America.
Welcome to American Sunrise.
Whether it's culture,
We have breaking news to share with you.
politics,
President Trump is joining us live now from Florida.
we've got you covered.
This is what it looks like to be a patriot.
We have to protect the American family.
The American dream is still alive.
I'm David Brody.
I'm Terrance.
And I'm Dr. Gina.
Welcome back, everybody, to the second hour of American Sunrise. I'm David Brody, coming to you from D.C. Let's bring in Dr. G in West Palm and T. Bates in our Denver newsroom. Good morning to both of you. You know, we speak so much about just like all of this kind of doom and gloom stuff. So let me start on a lighter note. I was in a sauna last night, and on a health note, let me just... I know. I feel like two guys walk into a bar. I know that's what it sounds like. So I'm in a sauna last night, and let me just say, my main goal of being in a sauna, Gina, is to sweat the fat off. That's all I care about. I'm just letting you know. That's all. Good morning, Gina.
Hey, Terrance, did you understand that commentary?
I'm sorry, Dr. Gene, if I'm honest, the mental picture of David in a sauna.
Oh my gosh.
That in and of that's where my mind immediately went, hence the laugh. Sorry, David, don't take it personally.
Well, I won't. I won't.
I'm thinking now it worked, David, though, because you look so much smaller than me right now that I'm thinking it worked.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I had about, I'm -4 this morning on the pounds.
I'm just going to lean back here.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to delve too much more into that, David, because I'm probably going to get us off the air. The FCC is pulling licenses anyway, so I'm not going to put us in a situation where we.
That is the worst vamp question I've ever had. I literally got a buzzer from both of you. Like, we're not going there.
I just didn't get it. It's Monday. The brain's a little slow. That's all I can say.
There's nothing to get. I wanted to share with the audience I was in a sauna. That's it. And I thought they might enjoy the just being real. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. All right.
All right. I'm going in the chat.
We love you, David.
I'm going to be eviscerated in the chat. I'm going into the chat.
You go to the chat. Let me get some headlines in here real quick.
All right,
and I'll check back with you on the other side of this. So look, guys, the CEOs of the nation's top airlines are calling on Congress to end the current shutdown of the Department of Homeland Security so that federal aviation workers, including Transportation Safety Administration employees, can have their pay restored in order to avoid continued problems at airports across the country. Long lines like what you see right here on your screen becoming all too common these days as people are looking to fly out for spring break or just fly out in general. The airlines are now calling on lawmakers to pass the Aviation Funding Solvency Act and the Aviation Funding Stability Act. Both of those measures would guarantee that air traffic controllers are paid regardless of the government's funding status. The Keep America Flying Act would implement similar measures for TSA agents. Now to new information about last week's attack on a synagogue in suburban Detroit. The Israeli military claims the guy who drove his car into that building, forcing security to shoot him, is the brother of a Hezbollah commander. Officials in Israel say that 4 of the guy's relatives, including his brother, were killed in a March 5th strike on Lebanon. So far, the FBI, which is investigating the synagogue attack here in the United States, not confirming the Israeli claim or even commenting on the ongoing investigation. And President Trump is calling on a handful of countries to send warships to the Strait of Hormuz in order to help secure maritime shipping lanes. He's reportedly negotiating with about 7 countries that heavily rely on Middle East crude oil. He wants them to join a coalition that would police the waterway. The commander-in-chief is even threatening to postpone his upcoming visit to China at the end of this month if the Chinese don't help secure the strait. That's a quick check of your headlines. We'll have more headlines coming up throughout the day. But first, let's get a quick check of your forecast. Weather Nation meteorologist Tracy Anthony standing by with your hometown forecast. Tracy, good morning.
Hey, good morning. You know, we're going to try this just one more time with this views from Wisconsin. I mean, Terrance, we're talking about the snow, the blizzard conditions. They picked up over 2 feet of snow and had some highways in a complete gridlock for hours over the course of the day. On Sunday, they are still picking up some fresh snow here as we get into the day today. You can see we've got this big low pressure center. The cold side is right around the Great Lakes, but down on the warm side, we are talking about a good amount of strong and severe thunderstorms. So we have a handful of severe thunderstorm warnings, mainly for damaging winds and for some smaller hail, but we've had a few spin-up tornadoes throughout the start of the day today. So be mindful if you're in the southeast that we are going to have a very active day for some strong and severe thunderstorms. We have a moderate risk that stretches from D.C. all the way down to parts of South Carolina. So that's a level 4 out of 5 severe weather outlook. So we are expecting a conducive environment for EF2 tornadoes or stronger, and these tornadoes could be long duration, but also winds surpassing 75 miles per hour with the storms that roll on through. So this is going to be kind of the big weather story here for the Mid-Atlantic, and then those blizzard warnings will still remain in place through the day today, Terrance, so could cause some issues for the morning and evening commutes as cities still try to dig out after picking up anywhere from 1 to 2 feet of snow.
All right, Tracy, thank you so much. The video of that snow right there has my knee aching. You know, I've got bursitis in this knee, and my knee is starting to hurt just looking at that video. Good to see you, Tracy. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
You too. Yep.
All right. Let's get you over to David Brody, who is freshly out of the sauna and looking good. David, good morning.
Good morning, T. Bates. I'm just moving on quickly. All right. The United States... I gotta go. The United States is ramping up its military presence in the Middle East as the war with Iran continues to escalate. So War Secretary Pete Hegseth has approved new reinforcements for the region. That includes an amphibious ready group and a Marine expeditionary unit made up of as many as 5,000 troops and multiple warships. And of course, this comes as Iran's military threatens to attack multiple cities in the United Arab Emirates, following the U.S. attack on Karg Island, which President Trump says obliterated every military target in the area. Joining us now with analysis is Republican strategist Amanda Mackey. Amanda, good morning to you. So we've got more U.S. troops and warships now heading to the region. What's your sense of it this morning? Are we looking at a temporary reinforcement, or is this a sign that the war with Iran actually could be entering a much more longer and intense phase? Good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on. I do believe that this is possibly going to be longer than the 4 to 6 weeks that was anticipated. Obviously, Israel came out and said, it is going to be a little bit longer, more drawn out. So I think we have to anticipate the worst and hope for the best. Every time we lose a service member, it gets harder and harder for Americans to want to support a war that is not really that isn't affecting us here, but of course is affecting our allies in the Gulf states and of course our service members. And so we all know the why. I think we all just want to know the how long and how we're going to actually get there. And so with oil prices going up, obviously that creates some challenges for Americans here at home wanting to know, when is this going to end? But we all know the why. We know that this regime is awful. For 47 years, it's why my family and I fled just a year after I was born from Iran. I was born in Tehran, and we came to the United States. We sought political asylum. We did it the legal way and came here, but we knew what our fate was back home because my father, my grandfather was a member of the military. And if you were a member of the military, the Shah's military, you were one of the first to be executed. And so we had to leave.
So, Amanda, let's delve into your history and your roots in Iran. What would you like to see this conflict ultimately end with? And I'm really talking politically in terms of the regime. Mojtaba Khamenei is currently in office, if you will. He's in power. Can that sustain? Is that a sustainable leadership?
Yeah, I would say that really the support for this regime it's an 80-20. 80% of the country does not want this supreme leader. They do not want a theocracy in place. They want anything but this because their lives have been tormented. Their lives have been hell for the last 47 years. But the 20%, what's scary about them is that they are willing to kill themselves and die for this regime. In fact, when they lost their supreme leader, Khamenei, Mojtaba Khamenei's father, when he was killed, they said, we want to go be with him. That's how brainwashed these people are by religious fanatics in that country. And so when you're fighting a war against people that want to die for this country, it's a very difficult situation that you're putting yourself in to want to see the regime change. But then there's the 80% of the country that want to see this, but are they willing to take up the mantle and fight and die for this country to actually have freedom and be liberated from this regime? It's a very difficult situation in that country, but the people want freedom more than they want anything else. If you just look at the women's soccer team, when they didn't sing the national anthem when they were in Australia, they were basically told, if you come back here, you're going to get killed. So they sought asylum. They got asylum thanks to President Trump's help. But then their families were getting lost. They were gone, missing. And so you see that the soccer players all had to return because they were so worried about the fate of their own families. This is what this regime does.
Amanda Mackey, great perspective this morning. Thanks for being here with us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Amanda.
All right. Love to have you back. So let's talk Medicare for a moment, because a lot of folks aren't getting the full story. Most Medicare agents push Medicare Advantage plans even when they're not right for you. Well, that's not nice. So why do they do that? Well, because that's where the money is for them, but seniors are paying the price. That's the problem. And that is what makes Chapter different. They're going to walk you through Original Medicare, Medigap, Medicare Advantage, and Part D with the pros and the cons all laid out so you can make the right call for your health needs. Basically, they're dumbing it down for you. And I'm a big fan of dumbing down. Donna, by the way, said her chapter advisor walked her through every option and explained everything in a way that she could actually understand. Plus, they saved her thousands of dollars. Hello, I'll take that as well. If you're on Medicare or will be soon, here's what you do. You call 843-MED-HELP to learn about enrollment options and find ways to save. It is free, quick. They can review your options in under 20 minutes. Most people wish they had called sooner. All right, more American Sunrise after the break, everybody. Stay with us.
The world doesn't slow down because you're tired. And weakness gets exposed. That's why the best take Go Pills. Born for military performance, built for high-pressure days when your brain has to move faster than the chaos. This is neurotransmitter support, helping your mind fire clean signals so you can process data fast, decide fast, and stay locked in when it matters. Packed with clinically supported ingredients designed to boost cognitive performance so you stay sharp under pressure. The most badass military in the world uses this kind of energy every day. Now you can too. From training to eliminate America's enemies to smoke-checking terrorists, Go Pills keep the mission fueled. Real world tested by high-level tactical communities. Now available to you. Greenlight the beast inside. Pop a Go Pill. Scan the QR code or go to buygopills.com and receive 15% off your entire order.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
I'm fueled up now. Woo!
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink what the RAV hosts drink. Soldier Fuel.
Let's go. Hi, welcome back to American Sunrise. Today's interview is a must-see for anybody who feels like their skin complexion is worse for wear after summer. As you probably know, too much fun can take a toll on your skin, leading to photo damage, hyperpigmentation, premature aging, even with proper sunscreen usage. Fortunately, today's special guest can help you rejuvenate your complexion and reclaim a gorgeous glow. Her name is Kristen Malia. She is a renowned beauty journalist. She has traveled the world to help find and source the best skincare products. Kristen has worked with Hollywood A-listers, makeup artists, and top thought leaders in the industry. So if there's anybody who has their finger on the pulse of the latest breakthroughs in skincare and what's working, it's her. Kristen, welcome to the show again. Kristen, what do you have to share with us today?
So today I want to share one of my favorite and recent skincare finds, which is from an amazing company called Terrance. Now, Terrance is an organic skincare brand, and they're getting all sorts of positive publicity in publications like Elle and LA Weekly. To date, they've helped, check this out, more than 60,000 women fall in love with their skin complexion again. And Terrance delivers clean, organic beauty without the harsh, preservatives and chemicals, which I totally love.
I know a lot of women aren't fans of synthetic chemicals, harsh preservatives in their skincare, and for good reason. Gentle organic skincare sounds like a breath of fresh air. What else can you tell us about the product?
Well, they've got an amazing lineup, and one of my favorites is the Cellular Restore Serum. Now, the Cellular Restore Serum contains bakuchiol. It's a gentle alternative to retinol. In a small focus group, 93% of women saw fewer lines and wrinkles after applying the Cellular Restore Serum. So you get basically all of the benefits of retinol, but without the redness and irritation. Then there's the Cellular Hydration Serum, which hydrates the deepest layers of the skin, even better than hyaluronic acid, which is a big deal. So it is a fantastic moisturizer. Then they've got the Lift and Glow Organic Eye Cream. So if you want to reduce the appearance of those dark circles under eyes and restore a radiant complexion, you will love the Lift and Glow. And last but not least is the Even Glow, which is powered by the Kakadu plum. Now, Kakadu plum contains 100 times more concentrated vitamin C, so it is amazing when it comes to reducing the appearance of dark spots and hyperpigmentation.
Definitely need that on a Monday. Excited to try the products. And I understand they have a special offer for our viewers today. Tell us.
Yeah, this is an amazing offer. I've not seen this for anyone else, but today you can get 35% off all Appearance products. All you have to do is go to appearance.com, and when you check out, enter the code SUNRISE. You'll get that 35% off everything in your cart, and you'll also get Appearance's industry-leading, check this out, 365-day money-back guarantee.
That's amazing. All right, Kristen Malia, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
All right, if you want to give Appearance Skincare a try, you know what to do. Head over to appearance.com, enter the coupon code SUNRISE at your checkout for 35% off. That's PUREANCE.com. Coupon code SUNRISE saves you 35% on your order today. David Brody would say, coming up, we're headed down to Wall Street for the opening bell, and insight into how to hold on to your hard-earned dollars with some common sense. We'll be back with more American Sunrise. 2 minutes.
No fear in my chest. It's doing what's right when it costs you rest. I don't make threats, I don't bluff. It's God grit and gun. God grit and gun. You can take the flag from the screen.
The world doesn't slow down because you're tired. And weakness gets exposed. That's why the best take Go Pills. Born for military performance, built for high-pressure days when your brain has to move faster than the chaos. This is neurotransmitter support, helping your mind fire clean signals so you can process data fast, decide fast, and stay locked in when it matters. Packed with clinically supported ingredients designed to boost cognitive performance so you stay sharp under pressure. The most badass military in the world uses this kind of energy every day. Now you can too. From training to eliminate America's enemies to smoke-checking terrorists, Go Pills keep the mission fueled. Real world tested by high-level tactical communities. Now available to you. Greenlight the beast inside. Pop a Go Pill. Scan the QR code or go to buygopills.com and receive 15% off your entire order.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
I'm fueled up now. Woo!
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the Rav Hosts drink, Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
America, it's time to make some noise. Scan the QR code right now and download the new song, God, Grit, and Guns by the Truth Bombers. Or search for it on iTunes and download it today. In a world filled with chaos and uncertainty, this song is a reminder of something stronger, America's grit, faith, and fortitude. From the label that brought you The Boss, Anthem of the Free, and Somali Waltz, comes the next anthem, God, Grit, and Guns by the Truth Bombers. Scan the QR code and download it now.
It's God grit and gun. God grit and gun. God grit and guns.
To our enemies, FAFO.
God grit and guns.
God, Grit, and Guns. My inner fat guy, of course, immediately went to grits. Love grits. By the way, go to our various social media pages. Let us know. Do you eat your grits with sugar or do you eat them with butter and salt? Yeah, that's the fat guy in me talking. Admittedly, I'm a sugar guy. I know you guys are going to haze me, but I like grits with sugar. But let me know how you do your grits. Anyway, welcome back, everyone. We're getting you ready for the opening bell at the New York Stock Exchange. It's set to ring here in just a few minutes. Pre-market trading looking pretty good. As you can see here on the screen, the futures are up right now. The major indices, the Dow, S&P 500, and the NASDAQ are all in the green in future trading. We'll... Should have eaten more grits. We'll take you to the New York Stock Exchange for the opening bell here in just a minute. First, though, it is tax season, and here's RAV correspondent Bo Davidson with speaking with Julio Gonzalez about what you need to know before you file this year.
Thanks, Terrance. I'm joined by Julio Gonzalez, CEO of Engineered Tax Services, a company that provides advice for those wishing to keep more of their hard-earned money. It is tax season, Julio, and according to one CBS News report, estimates are that the average taxpayer will get about a 30% increase in their tax returns from last year, or about $1,000, boosting the typical check to about $4,000. Are you seeing that, or even better?
That's definitely fake news. Absolutely. Like, where's their accounting department? I mean... We're processing thousands and thousands of tax returns with our accounting firms that we work with, and we're seeing double the returns, so 100% increase. So I don't know where those numbers come from. Where do they get that data? It's so off.
Obviously better, which is good for all the Americans out there. And because of that, Julio, I want you to speak to the average person that's out there. Not necessarily incredibly wealthy, but not necessarily poor either. The middle class, if you will. What are some of the tips that you have for taxpayers to maximize their returns under this new Trump tax code?
Well, I think get an account that knows the new tax code, right? Because in 2025, we increased every deduction you can think of for hardworking families like you're talking about and referencing. So I think it's most important to, just know what the changes are because, like I said, we're seeing double the returns, 100% more, right? So it's great. And there's so many deductions from working at home, driving your vehicles. We have more work tax credits. We have more insurance tax credits. We have more child tax credits. Like Trump made everything better in the tax code, right? He just enhanced it a little bit.
So, Julio, if you're just the average guy or gal out there and you don't have an accountant because you're recommending that you get one, you might be out there using TurboTax. People use that kind of software. Is that going to maximize your refund?
Not at all, because all TurboTax does is you put the information in, and it basically assembles it, and the tax return goes. But there was no tax planning in it, right? There was no looking at it and saying, what did I miss, right? Because it doesn't tell you. There's no AI there, right? So ultimately, you're putting something in, recording it, and way overpaying your taxes. Now, it's a good tool for, getting the tax returns done, but use ChatGPT then when you're using and saying, hey, is there something else I should be putting in here? Am I missing anything? What are the changes that maybe I need to think about? I would just at least use an AI tool.
But outside of that, you probably recommend having an accountant, right? And so if you do, then what can Engineered Tax Services do to help out your accountant?
Yeah, basically, we work with accountants, right? They're our clients, and we work with their clients to ultimately optimize the tax code. So we basically, if the accountant gets it to, hey, we're down to 30% taxes of our net income, maybe we'll go in and find and identify tax credits, tax incentives, and get them down to 10%. Really, 50% of hardworking people, they pay 50% of their net income in taxes. The Fortune 500 pay 10%. That's a big gap, right? We all have the same tax code, but someone's paying a lot more. That's why they say the tax code's for the billionaires. It's not really for the billionaires, it's for everyone. It's just that we're not using it like the billionaires. So I would just suggest that, again, have an accountant, pick an accountant that thinks about tax planning that's going to sit with you, not at the end of the year, because by the end of the year, it's too late. You can't do anything about it. But sits with you during the year and says, here's some things we should do. Here's some things. Here's some updates in the tax code. Let's take advantage of all these tax benefits.
Yeah, having a good accountant sounds like is great advice. Well, let's also, Julio, talk about our seniors. If you get Social Security and you make $25,000 or more, you will be taxed for that. What can people out there in that situation do?
Yeah, but listen, before that, before this tax code, they were being taxed on $1.
Exactly.
Right? So we take it all the way up to $25,000 that they don't pay taxes on. Then we increased a deduction for them up to $6,000 to eliminate any taxes beyond that, right? So after $25,000, you start to see a little increase in taxes, but we offset that with the $6,000 deduction as well that they didn't have before. So hopefully that all works out. But in that event, like, put money into your retirement account, your Social Security programs, into Roth.
Bo and Julio, thank you so much. All right, folks, let's head on over to the opening bell at the New York Stock Exchange. It's set to ring here momentarily, and then we'll get an idea of how this week of trading begins. As you saw earlier, the futures were up just slightly, and so hopefully it will continue to be that way as we prepare for the opening bell, which again is set to ring here in just a minute. The opening bell at the New York Stock Exchange, sponsored by AMAC, by the way.
The Association of Mature American Citizens is the conservative voice for Americans 50 and older. AMAC is fighting for the values that you hold dear. Join today. Together, we can write the course of America.
All right, again, the opening bell at the New York Stock Exchange set to ring here in less than a minute. We're going to take you to the floor so you get an idea of how things are looking. You hear the applause in the background, and now you're going to see the applause here as the opening bell is now ringing and the markets are now officially open. Ireland Inc. is at the podium today. The applause, they've got on all green and all of that good stuff. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the markets are officially open now. So let's take a quick look. As you can see, the top of our screen is all green. That's a good sign of things. The bottom is in the red. The Dow, S&P 500, and the NASDAQ up at the moment. Hopefully it ends the day that way. The bottom of our screen, things like gold, silver, and even crude oil are down. For the precious metals, that's not such a great thing necessarily, but crude oil being down ultimately should, or hopefully will, benefit those of you who are headed to the gas tank later today, as global oil prices are a bit more elevated than they had been just 2 weeks ago. Still to come here on American Sunrise, a new poll is shaking up the Texas Senate race, and it shows that Attorney General Ken Paxton has a surprising lead over incumbent Senator John Cornyn. We'll break down the numbers for you after the break.
When it's breaking,
We're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
I'm fueled up now. Woo!
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the RAV Hosts drink, Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
when it's breaking,
We're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
I'm fueled up now. Woo!
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the RAV Hosts drink, Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
Hey folks, it's your friend John Rich. I co-founded Old Glory Bank because we heard too many stories about people getting canceled by their bank because they didn't agree with their politics. The government wanted to know where you shopped. If you bought a Bible or you shopped at a sporting goods store, you're probably on a list. We created Old Glory Bank because America needed a bank that would protect their privacy and security. Exercising your constitutional rights is not a criminal activity, and neither is loving your country. At Old Glory Bank, we stand with you.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
About a year in prison.
We were prosecuted, persecuted.
J6ers have been treated like terrorists.
And we need your help.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
For just $10 or more, you can help these patriots get back on their feet again.
Every dollar you give is being matched up to $50,000. Go now to j6support.com and donate.
All right, welcome back to American Sunrise. I'm Dr. G. Thanks for joining us this morning. We invite you to hop in our conversation on YouTube, Getter, and Rumble. It is time now to take the political pulse of America. Here's the beat today. A new poll showing Texas AG Ken Paxton with a solid lead over incumbent Senator John Cornyn as the two Republicans head toward a high-stakes runoff next month. The survey of Texas GOP voters puts Paxton ahead by 8 points with 49%. Compared to Cornyn's 41% and about 11%. Still undecided. This poll also suggests even a potential endorsement from President Trump might not be enough to erase Paxton's advantage, though it could narrow those numbers. The runoff set for May 26th. That's my anniversary. It's a good date. In what is shaping up to be one of the most watched Republican Senate battles in the country. To discuss, want to bring in David Brody, Terrance Bates. D-Bro, your thoughts on this? I mean, Trump had said he was going to endorse, and he was hoping the other person, whoever he doesn't endorse, gets out. Is he going to do that?
Well, it's less likely now than it was at the time. And the reason, what changed was Ken Paxton's art of the deal move. I mean, Ken Paxton came out and said, I'll get out of the race, just pass the Save America Act. If they do that, I'm out. And everybody was like, no, don't do, Ken Paxton, please don't do that. We don't want you out of the race. But it was a brilliant move because it got Trump to think, hey, you know what? It's actually a good idea. Let's go ahead and dangle that over Thune and Cornyn for a little while and see how that plays. And so now Paxton's coming to, buy him some time. Ken Paxton comes across as the hero. President Trump likes that. Now we see these polls that say, hey, wait a minute, it's not a slam dunk for Cornyn that he's going to beat Paxton at all. You put all that together, and here we are. And you know where we are, T. Bates? We don't know what's going to happen next. That's where we're at.
Right. You know what? President Trump, first of all, his endorsement typically ends with the win for whoever he endorses. But at the same time, he's very smart with his endorsements. He typically chooses the person that he thinks ultimately is going to win or has a better chance to win and support his policies. And so I wonder now, as these polls are continuing to shape up, if this was simply a strategic move. If the president says, I'm going to endorse soon, and whoever I don't endorse, I want you to get out. And now he's waiting to see how this shapes out so that he can make an endorsement of the person that he thinks ultimately will win in hopes that the other person still does ultimately drop out, be it John Cornyn or be it Ken Paxton. Go ahead, Dave.
Can I just say one last thing? And I hate to say it this way. I'm not trying to diss the president. But if we could just be honest, because that's one thing we are here, is very honest. In 2015, if this was happening in 2015, Trump would have endorsed Paxton. Today, we're not quite sure.
Well, I thought he was all in for Cornyn. I mean, it looked like he was going to endorse Cornyn, and by all measures, that's what was getting ready to happen.
So I think you're right. I think without this move...
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. I was going to say, without this move by Paxton, you're right. It would have been Cornyn. And so think about that, right? Paxton in 2015, Cornyn today. What does that tell you?
It was Paxton, but it was a lot of noise that MAGA made out there too, David Brody. They were very vocal about their disapproval 100%. Of the endorsement of Cornyn. And I think we have to give that MAGA base a lot of credit. You know, they've really put themselves in a position where they are not only the megaphone for Donald Trump, they are sort of the accountability partner a lot of times for Donald Trump. It's really an interesting, I think it's probably the first time in my lifetime where I've actually seen a citizens movement for the people actually being able to move what happens politically. And I'm not saying they're all powerful, but I am saying there are moments like this where I think they're pivotal.
If the polls stay as they are, if I just can add, if the polls stay as they are, I would not at all be surprised to see a Ken Paxton endorsement from President Trump, and it may be even just days before the runoff. And the idea would be that Paxton potentially would win, and he wants to endorse him, then moving forward and get some momentum. I wouldn't be surprised if that were to happen.
Yeah, I could totally see it. All right, guys, let's turn now to Capitol Hill. A growing number of House Republicans say they're going to vote no on almost all Senate-passed bills until the upper chamber advances the Save America Act, a measure that would require proof of citizenship to register to vote. What a novel concept. An ID to cast a ballot. The bill is going to face near insurmountable odds. I mean, Republicans are going to need Democrat support to overcome a filibuster, and we know that's just not going to happen. Joining us now with analysis is RAV Chief White House Correspondent Brian Glenn. Brian, what do you think? We got a standoff. I mean, we're going to see a vote on Wednesday. That vote's going to fail. On the Save America Act, where do you think all this goes? Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning to you, sir. Well, it's interesting because Thune has been telling President Trump forever that he doesn't have the votes, and Trump's more or less just saying, we'll go figure it out. We'll make it happen. So I do think it's going to go into debate starting, I believe, later on today and tomorrow, or perhaps tomorrow going into Wednesday. Once they close the debate down, I do anticipate this going to the floor for a vote. And David, Gina, and Terrance, I think it should go to the floor for a vote. I think we want to know exactly where everyone's representatives stand in this. Put them on the record. If they're a yes, they're a yes. If they're a no, they're a no. But make them force a vote on this very, it's not even controversial. It's overwhelmingly supported, the Save America Act. My goodness, it doesn't matter who you poll. People of all genders and all nationalities support photo ID for voting and all the other common sense approaches to this bill. But look for a vote, but also look for a vote, I think, to fail. But then we got to go back. And David, the filibuster, that is the $1 million question here. If we could just get rid of the filibuster, we could absolutely push almost every one of these Trump America First agendas, all this legislation, codify it, put it into law.
Brian, let's just be clear. John Thune is bringing this to the floor, kicking and screaming because he knows it's going to fail. But the good thing is, and you kind of alluded to this is a way to get Democrats on the record saying why they voted against a common sense bill. It's also a good way to get Republicans on the record who may push back or who may not support this particular bill. It's a way to get these lawmakers on the record with why, or at least where you can point out, look, this was a common sense measure that was supported by a majority of Americans, and you voted no, or you abstained, or whatever you did to torpedo this.
And Terrance, these are the same Democrats that refused to fund DHS, so the 50,000 plus TSA workers around this country. I just saw a video on X of the Austin Bergam airport, 3-4 hours long. Lines are long for that airport. This is because Democrats refuse to come on common sense approaches to DHS with ICE in relation to ICE. So these are the same Democrats that oppose photo ID, and they oppose common sense approaches to ICE. So let them shut down the country. They're the problem right now, guys. The Democrats are the problem. It's not any other policy that you and I might disagree from the Trump administration. It's none of that. It's the Democrats have caused this country right now into collapse.
Brian, turning now to Cuba, the United States and Cuba have held new talks as the island nation's economy continues to crumble in its escalating energy crisis, according to Cuban president. Brian, what do we know about these talks?
Yeah, this has been going on for a couple of weeks now, actually. And from what I understand, President Trump has addressed this situation with Cuba in kind of a very tactful way. In other words, he's saying it could be an easy negotiation or it could be a very tough negotiation. Now, what does that tough part look like? Now, we saw the video on Saturday night as people were in the streets, basically, burning some buildings and just showing their outright defiance of this communist government. So, but I'm praying that the negotiations with Cuba, the Cuban leaders, and I think the president of Cuba has expressed some willingness to talk to the Trump administration about some type of negotiation to change the shift there in the regime, if you want to call it, in Cuba. But we'll see how this goes. I just don't want it to be any type of violent direction. I don't want it to be I don't want U.S. ground troops invading Cuba and doing anything like we did in Venezuela. Let's talk about these policies. Let's get the trade back open. Let's help these people in Cuba get their life back together, economically speaking, and have a little bit more freedoms as well.
Yeah. Hey, Brian, we've heard from Tucker Carlson a couple times in the show. I want to play one more clip. He had that recent interview with Piers Morgan. During that conversation, he went on to claim President Trump has betrayed the non-traditional Republicans who voted for him. Have a look. Here it is.
They're non-traditional Republican voters who voted for Trump because he promised not to keep doing the same thing. And one of the things he promised not to do again was to hand operational authority over to Benjamin Netanyahu, as other presidents have. We don't want any more of that. Why would we?
Well, here we are. It's a rift inside MAGA. Where are you on this, Brian? I mean, in terms of how do you see it playing out?
Yeah, this divide is probably, David, probably one of the most hurtful divides that we've seen in politics. We can disagree on tax codes, tariffs, foreign policy, but we've got this rift inside MAGA of kind of a Christian Zionist, Judaism. You have all this collection of religious beliefs. And then you have in terms of the belief that the Israeli government has had any type of control over our government, our president, our Congress, our Senate, whatever, elected leaders. You've got that discussion as well. And that discussion, in my opinion, is what's really dividing this country. Now, Tucker is a friend of mine. He loves this country. I do know that for a fact. I don't think he was acting as any type of spy for any other country. He simply has a relationship with President Trump. He's tried to talk him out of going into war with Iran on behalf of Israel in his belief. So, David, this is one of those things that we all have to come together as Christians and pray for this country, pray for the best direction for President Trump, and that we have peace across the world. I know we're wrapping for time. I know this is a much longer discussion, but yeah, this is one of the divisions, David, that I don't like at all.
Yeah, I don't like it either. The only good thing I will say is I know it has a lot of people in their Bible researching exactly what that Bible says about Israel, exactly what role Christians play. Well,
here's the biggest, if I can, just for a second, Dr. Gina. The biggest discrepancy that I find is people don't have a problem with the religion of Judaism. It's the problem of the government. They have a conflict with the government having direct influence on our government. It's not the religion at all. It's the government. And I think that's what Tucker is really alluding to. He's not anti-Semitic. He just has a problem with the Israeli government.
Yeah, well, a lot of people would like to conflate some of that. Brian Glenn, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks, B.
All right, there's more American Sunrise coming up right after the break. Don't go away.
Get ready, America. March 25th through 28th. CPAC USA 2026 takes over the Lone Star State. And Real America's Voice brings you wall-to-wall coverage. Live shows from the convention floor, exclusive interviews, powerful panels, live music, entertainment, and more. All from the RAV stage. Hear from RAV's own Steve Bannon.
The only way we don't have victory if we surrender. And we're not going to retreat. We're not going to surrender. We're not going to quit.
Eric Bowling.
Real leadership listens without lecturing. It respects people enough to talk to them, not down to them.
And Jack Posobiec live.
Freedom is a responsibility that we must uphold every single day of our lives.
Plus Dr. G and others.
We always came together because we know what we're fighting for.
CPAC USA 2026, only on Real America's Voice. Presented by Birch Gold Group and Patriot Mobile.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
I'm fueled up now. Woo!
Woo!
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the Rav Hosts drink, Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
Hey folks, it's your friend John Rich. I co-founded Old Glory Bank because we heard too many stories about people getting canceled by their bank because they didn't agree with their politics. The government wanted to know where you shop. If you bought a Bible or you shopped at a sporting goods store, you're probably on a list. We created Old Glory Bank because America needed a bank that would protect their privacy and security. Exercising your constitutional rights is not a criminal activity, and neither is loving your country. At Old Glory Bank, we stand with you.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
About a year in prison.
We were prosecuted, persecuted.
J6ers have been treated like terrorists.
And we need your help.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
For just $10 or more, you can help these patriots get back on their feet again. Every dollar you give is being matched up to $50,000. Go now to j6support.com and donate. Let's spill some tea.
All right, let's spill some tea. Sponsored by Artillery Tea Co., the veteran-owned patriotic tea brand, delivering premium whole leaf tea in biodegradable sachets that brew twice as strong. Patriots, if you love great tea on your terms, check out the Patriots Brew Club for automatic shipments that you control. You can cancel or swap flavors anytime, no commitments. You'll also get free shipping on every single order, tiered discounts up to 20%, by the way, and free milestone rewards along the way. Brew strong, stay patriotic. Head to artilleryteaco.com right now. Click Join the Patriots Brew Club to get you started. All right, country music has always been about storytelling, songs of family, faith, hard work, and American values. But today, artists who speak openly about those roots can find themselves swimming against the current. Our next guest is helping to keep those traditions alive. Country singer Celeste Kellogg brings her music around faith, patriotism, and the values many country fans hold dear. Take a look. Celeste Kellogg joins us right now. Celeste, good morning. You have a new album out called My Journey. Talk to us about what inspired the album and why faith and patriotism are such an important cornerstone of country music.
Yeah, well, this is the first album I've released since I was a kid, basically, full-length album. But I wanted to write an album that was 100% me. All the songs on the album are solo writes. And I wanted it to fully represent who I am, what I'm all about. Like you said, faith, patriotism. I am a Christian girl. I have been since I was so young, grew up in a small town. And to me, that's what country music's about, and the storytelling and just representing those values. It's very important.
Yeah, it seems to me like country music has really caught on, even with younger generations. What are you hearing on this?
I'm hearing, I mean, it's just kind of exploding. I think it's become cool again, where for a bit it was
Thank goodness.
Oh, that's lame, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's so cool because country music is probably one of the places where we do still have that moral, like, small town, big family, get down on our knees. Like, we're still okay to sing about that stuff in country music. So I think it's cool that it's being exposed to more and more people in that way, and the younger generation.
Tell us about the songs on this particular album. Which one means the most to you? I'm sure they're all extremely special, but it's got to be a thing, because I know just even when I release a book, it feels I feel a little laid bare. I feel a little like that's a lot. It's a lot of you out there. Tell us about this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There are some very personal and emotional songs on the album. South of Sarasota is one that's very deeply personal, and so that one means a lot to me. But I think overall the one that means the most to me is Faith in Freedom, because it represents my values. It represents what I believe in, and it's something that I kind of took a stand a bit in this song about that, and actually spoke about it. And I've had a lot of open conversations because of this song, and I think it kind of opens the door to talking about, just because we might not necessarily have the same opinion as the person that lives next door, we can still talk to each other. We can be humans. We were created equally by God, and the other side isn't necessarily the enemy, and that's just something that trying to unite people in that common bond of America's an amazing country.
Yeah.
And I am just so blessed that I was even born here and have the privilege to live here. And to me, that's what I think we need to get back to. So that's why Faith in Freedom is something that's a song that is very important to me.
Well, Celeste, I have a bunch more questions for you, but we are out of time. I want to have you back. Celeste Kellogg, thank you so much for your new album. Everybody can, I'm sure, go find it wherever you buy your music. Let's do it now and be supportive of this amazing woman of faith. Thank you so much for being with us, and thanks for your gift of music.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, coming up, our own David Brody standing by with the top story he's keeping his eye on today. The one to watch after this break. You won't want to miss it. Stay with us.
You can take the flag from the screen.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
I'm fueled up now. Woo!
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink what the RAV hosts drink. Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
Hey folks, it's your friend John Rich. I co-founded Old Glory Bank because we heard too many stories about people getting canceled by their bank because they didn't agree with their politics. The government wanted to know where you shop. If you bought a Bible or you shopped at a sporting goods store, you're probably on a list. We created Old Glory Bank because America needed a bank that would protect their privacy and security. Exercising your constitutional rights is not a criminal activity, and neither is loving your country. At Old Glory Bank, we stand with you.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
About a year in prison.
We were prosecuted, persecuted.
J6ers have been treated like terrorists.
And we need your help.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
For just $10 or more, you can help these patriots get back on their feet again. Every dollar you give is being matched up to $50,000. Go now to j6support.com and donate.
All right, welcome back to American Sunrise. I'm Dr. G. We're so glad you are with us this morning. It is time now for the one to watch. D-Bro, I know you got your eyes on something.
I do. We've played a lot of Tucker Carlson in the show. One last one here, and this one is where he talked about whether or not he might run for president. Look at this.
As for Ted Cruz, he says he's running against me for president. I almost want to run for president just to debate Ted Cruz, because I think it would go about the way it went last time. And for my part, I deeply enjoyed it, which is why I've never tweeted about it, because I just keep that little spark of joy inside me for rainy days.
Piers Morgan laughs, but I don't think it's any laughing matter. As a matter of fact, I think I wouldn't be surprised if he ran. I know everybody's going to say, no, he's not going to run against his good friend J.D. Vance. I don't know about that. Yeah. I think he could run. I think, someone in that America First lane, I think will end up running. I do. I truly, even if J.D. Vance runs, which he's expected to. I really do.
Yeah. No, I think you're absolutely right. It'll spice things up, T.
Yeah, it will definitely spice things up. I'm not so sure I'm in the school of thought that he would run. If he were to run, I think it would just be to add more voices to the conversation and to put issues on the table that otherwise might not be addressed. I'm just not convinced at this moment. But again, the election is